drum roll finishes, and the target is
means it. And it comes on finals night, and it's a knockout push.
Dirty Harrison! Van Velzen!
No mistake, and Mervyn King is perfect on Thursday.
Double 10. He loves that. Beautiful shot from Charlie. Guarantee, isn't that right, James?
James shown the fifth.
That's right, James. It has worked out.
One of them gives himself double six, and that is spectacular. Hello, good evening. Welcome along to the Modus Super Series from the live lounge here in Portsmouth. It's the final night in terms of qualification through to Saturday evening's finale. We now know half of the field, and it's quite an exciting field as well. Jamie Atkins, Steve West and Tommy Lishman confirming their places through this afternoon. Mervyn King just needs a solitary win tonight to add his name to the list, whilst the other two, well, it could be anybody's game. Paul Nicholson's with us once again here in the studio to look ahead to the action. But before we do that, let's have a look back at this afternoon. Steve West won Group C. Maybe that's not a surprise, but today, maybe not the sparkling best that we saw from him on Thursday.
No, it didn't need to be, because he's done enough to win the group. I think when the dust settles in the morning, he'll feel very fortunate to have won Group C, but a lot of great work was done on Thursday, and today, when he really needed to get that win in round number 4, he found it. And it's a good job he did, because if he hadn't, his last game would have been filled with pressure, and it could have been a situation that might have been very, well, not enjoyable. Let's put it that way.
Tommy Lishman joins him into the finals tomorrow evening. What did you make of his night?
He was good, started much better, looked a lot more settled from the off, but I still don't think it's the full ticket. I still think there's a lot more to find for Tommy, and ahead of Saturday night, I think that's very encouraging.
Let's have a look then at the tournament bracket heading into tomorrow night's final. So we know half of the field now. Jamie Atkins making his way through Group A, Steve West and Tommy Lishman, the two players out of Group C, whilst Group B later on this evening, well, right now actually, isn't it? Mervyn King, Charlie Martin, Max de Jong, Scott Baker, James Richardson. This is how the table looks. It's Mervyn King from Charlie Martin and James Richardson. They cannot be separated, or hardly be separated, going into tonight's play. King, with just one win this evening, will be enough to see him through. He won 4 out of 4 yesterday, 8 points to his name going into tonight's action. He was the first to admit that he never felt like he was at his best, hardly at all yesterday. But what did he do so right in your mind?
I think experience got him across the line in some of the games. Some people were struggling against him in conditions that were changeable, because it was getting quite warm on the stage towards the end of the night and into the early hours. But as Mervyn was struggling himself physically on the stage with the warmth, he was able to deflect anything that was coming his way. I think he was quite fortunate to play James Richardson early, because I think if he'd played him a little bit later on, he would have lost, because by the end, JR was the best player of the night.
In terms of James Richardson, it felt like a night of two halves from his perspective.
Very fair indeed. First half, just trying to find something. His first start wasn't cooperating a great deal. His doubles were a little bit sketchy, but his second half is exactly what you want to do here. It's mid-90s averages. The doubling was very close to as perfect as you can get. And if he recreates 2 of those games tonight, if not 3, he will sail through.
So James Richardson in a very good position. And there was also a really touching tribute as well, wasn't there, for the Evans family?
Yeah, this is quintessentially what it's all about to be from Northamptonshire. They're a darting family within a darting family. And it just goes to show how important it is to stick together through tough times. Alicia Evans was a great dart player herself, and she was surrounded by great dart players her entire life. But for that kind of tribute from James, it just goes to show how close that family is.
Let's have a look at the odds then. This is to win the group. Do we even need to look at that?
Well, that's very fair, isn't it? Mervyn King looks like he is going to win this group unless he falls off the stage or something like that. I think Charlie Martin, he showed at times last night just how strong he can be. If he can knit everything together, he could have a very good night tonight. But I think the bottom two have got a lot of work to do. They're going to need to find consistency from the off.
It is 18 plus, gavinaware.org if you can have a flat on the Super Series tonight. Right, we're going to see Charlie Martin and Max de Jong in action in the first game of the evening session. Charlie really made his name here at the Live Lounge at the back end of 2024. He had great success on the ADC circuit. Finalist at the Tour Championship and a quarter-finalist at the recent Global Championship. But 2025 is a new season and he is hoping to move that upwards direction again. And earlier on this evening, I caught up with him. Charlie, day two for yourself here at the Live Lounge. How would you reflect upon the first night's play?
Happy I'm in second place. I think I could brush up a little bit more consistent in places, but so I played quite well against James, but I let that slip. But he played really well as himself. Probably nicked the game against Scott. But other than that, 2 out of 2, I'm happy. Hopefully I'll get a bit more tonight.
Was it just the consistency a little bit that let you down at times yesterday?
Absolutely. From game to game, but also leg to leg. Like, I'll have 2 good legs, 2 bad legs. Double's going to cost me a bit. But yeah, if I can get a bit more consistent, I should see myself through to Saturday.
Last year was a really good year for yourself, particularly with the ADC. What's your goals and expectations for 2025?
Obviously, goals was I thought I'd do better at Q School and Challenge Tour. I drew a blank at the first Challenge Tour. Bit of a ropey start, but I think it's more a bit rubber to green. But I think as the year goes on, try and win another ADC tour, maybe a Challenge Tour, make the Global Championship again, and obviously the aim is obviously to get the Champions Week here.
How important is this as well for your progression? This was a stage which you really began to become a little bit more familiar with as the year drew to a close.
Yeah, it really helps with confidence, but like once you played it the first time and get all them nerves out of the way, really helps. But and then you go to the other bigger comps and challenge tours and stuff like that, it doesn't seem as bad anymore. Do you know what I mean? It's it just builds your confidence massively.
Finally, just in terms of tonight, same points total tonight, do you reckon that'd be enough?
Should be, I think so, but you know how it is, going to try and win every game, every leg, and just go from there.
Wish you all the best, Charlie, good luck.
Cheers, Emery, thank you.
So Charlie Martin getting the night's action underway. He takes on Max de Jong, and this was the last game of yesterday evening's play. It was a good performance from Charlie Martin to seal a 4-2 win against the Dutchman, and so he begins on 4 points at the expense of Max. He's looking to make it through to his first finals night in his second appearance. The man from the Netherlands qualified through Group B because of his exploits in Group A, finishing third in that group. 33 years old, his second appearance here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth, up against Charlie Martin, the 28-year-old from Hersham, throwing with a 23-gram Rob Cross dart. And this is only his second appearance at the Super Series, which feels a bit weird because we've seen him so many times in an ADC capacity, whether it be the Tour Championship, the Global Championship, whatever it is in that particular code, we tend to have seen him. Paul Hicks actually refereed the first Global Championship final at the Live Lounge back in December when Devon Peterson got the beating of Adam Lipscomb in that particular final. But what are we going to see on this Friday evening here at the Live Lounge? Max de Jong's going to get us underway. He takes on Charlie Martin to kick off proceedings. Paul Nicholson's alongside 93. Me. And I suppose the big question is, who are going to be the two that are going to keep Mervyn King company in the qualifying 57 spots?
That's a very good question. If it's going to be Max de Jong, I think the key to success tonight is that he's got to beat people above him in the table.
85.
Scott Baker's got exactly the same problem. But Fridays 59. Can be very different to Thursdays. That's for sure. If we look at Monday, Max was maybe a little bit nervy. Still trying to knit together
60.
What he was going to do for the rest of the week. But on Tuesday and Wednesday, he was much better. That pattern's got to return here in Group B. Day 2 will have to be better than day 1.
40.
One thing you'll get from Max is some maverick ways of going and doing things.
96.
Anything is potentially on offer when he's about.
Yeah, but on 167, he's only got one route.
96. Max your car.
So it's got to be a 57. It's got to be a 60 and a ball if he wants to take it here.
So De Jong's failure to get the 167 has opened up the door for Charlie Martin to
85.
find this
Charlie
149 to
149.
take out the opening leg of this match. Would have been for a break. He's not going to get. And so De Jong will return for 82 to
Max your
take
car,
a 1-0
82.
lead in this contest.
Got to guarantee that 25. And because he doesn't, now the 25 is a must. That's a good marker.
57.
Oh, it's so close.
Charlie Ricard,
Even Charlie
97.
Martin was having a look as if to say, is that in the bull of the 25?
That was one of those double take type shots, wasn't it?
57. Max your car, 25.
Visit 7 of the leg. 17 double 4 is going to be the MO. Or is it going to be 3 double 11? Okay, Max, your guess is as good as mine.
3.
That is
Charlie
the
Ricard,
second time I've
40.
seen him do that this week. He might start a new trend. 2 5s for Charlie.
30.
He's bent
Max your
3
car,
wires
22.
there.
Well, you could physically see the bending of the double 5 there.
$18.
I have no
Charlie
comment.
Ricard, 10.
The end of this leg, it's ending like a broken Rubik's
Each on
Cube,
the first leg,
but
Charlie
somebody's
Martin.
just solved it.
Well, we see
make Charlie the
plenty of
first.
legs here at
Game
the
on.
Modus Live Lounge, and that is perhaps one of the more bizarre ones.
It's one of the reasons why you don't want to leave double 11 on purpose.
57.
You go inside, you get cornered, you can get floored.
$70.
Well, here are the repercussions if Charlie was to do the double over Max de Jong. Charlie would go to 6 points.
134.
Max would stay on 2. He would then have only 3 games left, and the maximum total he would find would be 8 points. And based on the fact that he would have to play
96.
James Richardson and Mervyn King still, as well as Scott Baker, he is firmly behind the 8 ball.
81.
This is the type of night where these types of head-to-heads may well be the key differs, may well be the thing that ultimately decides who is heading through and who is heading for home.
90.
If Charlie was to go home, it would take about an hour. For Max, he'd have to wait until tomorrow. And he'd have to book a ferry.
140.
Yeah, that would largely involve a long drive to Dover Port and then back from there to the Netherlands. But Martin here, having taken the first leg of a breaker throw in rather intriguing circumstances, shall we say,
100.
is making
Charlie
better
Ricard,
weather
89.
of it on his darts here, looking at 89 to open up a 2-love lead. And he's going to get 2 darts in his hand, a double 16.
on
He
the
only
second
needs a
leg,
1.
Charlie
That's a
Martin.
14 darter, and that's more like it for Charlie Martin. 2-0
Third leg,
leads.
Max to throw first. Game on.
What did you make of what he was saying earlier tonight? Because I was hearing nothing but positivity and ambition. He's talking about winning things, not just
96.
participating in things. I like that attitude.
He seems like a very headstrong person, doesn't he, Charlie Martin? I don't know if he's played any other sports
135.
alongside darts, but he looks like somebody that may have participated in other things to a fairly decent level.
Yeah, I get that feeling too. He almost reminds me of Michael Dawson a little bit.
85.
Former defender at Spurs. Tall, slender. He's probably good in the air.
83.
With someone as tall as him, I wouldn't be surprised if he could row a good boat. Max is a bit stockier.
59.
Being from the Netherlands, I'm not sure what you would put him in. I bet if you gave him a cricket bat, he could whack a ball past the boundary.
59.
I see more and more players now come from different types of sporting professions. I suppose when Gerwyn Price did it, it felt like a one-off
70.
fad to a certain extent. There's somebody to come from a completely different sport and then find darts and then be as successful as he was at it.
Don't forget about John Bowles.
134.
John Bowles, fine dart player. And it can be a secondary sporting career. Because if you think about
36.
football, rugby,
Charlie
cricket,
O'Connor, 90.
you can only go to 40 tops, really. Darts, you can go to 70. You can't go to the single 15 on a 90 checkout, isn't that right, Charlie?
155.
Well, that was a weird diversion out the
69.
board. It kind of
Charlie
hung in
O'Connor,
on the
8.
wire and then came back out again. Martin looking at double 4 to open up a 3-0 lead in this match. Down for 2s. It's the madhouse. It's
Inch on the
3-0.
third leg, Charlie
And
Martin.
after what was a chaotic first leg, Charlie Martin looked very controlled, very
Fourth leg, Charlie
measured.
to throw
He's
first.
3-0 to
Game
the
on.
good. And he now has the darts to seal not just a win, but a comprehensive win. And in a group which is as tight behind the top of the table, a hefty win like this
57.
could be so key when it comes to the end exchanges.
This performance from Max is almost exactly the same as what he did in round 1 yesterday. However,
40.
there is a distinct difference between the two. He was getting a lot more darts at double in game 1 on Thursday night.
58.
In fact, 4 times as many. It isn't making any difference. He hasn't got a clue what's going on.
70.
And like I said, the last couple of days, that is a horrible place to be. Maybe the worst place to be on any hockey. If you don't know
60.
what's going wrong and you don't know how to fix it, all you can do is persevere.
Well, he's in a darting version of no man's land, isn't he, at this present moment in time, Max de Jong? And there's been spells, particularly on Tuesday and Wednesday, where
65.
things really were trending upwards for him, but just never quite got going last night in Group B, and it's a sluggish start to proceedings here. And
137.
Charlie Martin, after what happened in the first leg, where it was a little bit scrappy from the pair, he's been the one that's been able to get himself together, and he's brought his average up to 82.5. He knows he's got better
96.
levels than that, but what he has been able to do is put himself in a position to win this opening game to 0.
And when your opponent doesn't play well, be there to take advantage of it.
96.
That's exactly what he's doing. There is nothing else on his mind right now apart from winning 4-0. Any large victory you can get will put more pressure
70.
on
Charlie
the people
O'Connor,
around you.
93.
Double AT for the match. Inside it
75.
goes.
Max Ricard, 160.
160 for de Jong. It's not going to go, and so Martin would turn. Double 9 is what he's looking for to win this game 4-0.
Now we're going to find out how assured he is.
57.
Straight for it.
Charlie O'Connor, 18.
Or does he split?
Straight at it. Straight
Clean shot
in.
on the mark.
And straight
Charlie
in with a
Martin.
4-0 win in 10 minutes flat. Charlie Martin for 4-0 success against Max de Jong. And a 4-0 win, which is going to give him every chance as the night goes on. Some synchronised water drinking there. And a nice embrace from the pair. That the turn of the tape. Charlie Martin runs out a 4-0 winner. He moves on to 6 points in the group. And he's done his legs difference a world of good as well. Next up, Mervyn King. Well, he could book his place through with 3 games to spare if he could beat Scott Baker after this short break. Are you ready to lift that trophy, Darius? Yes. Let's do it then. Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series 9 champion is Lucky D, Darius Lewandowski!
night of darts we have seen, and we are ready. Our champion is ready, and it's trophy. So receive the trophy. £25,000.
The new Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And one more time, the 8th Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And the new Modus Super Series champion is Andreas Dirty Harrison. And one more time, the 7th Modus Super Series champion. Give it up for Andreas Dirty Harrison.
The moment we've all been waiting for. Would you please show your appreciation for your Series 6 Modus Super Series champion, Scott Taylor?
One more time, your new Modus Super Series champion. He is Chucky. He is Jim McEwen.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series champion, retaining his title, the Nuke, Luke Littler! Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where before the break, Charlie Martin got the better of Max de Jong by 4-0 in the opening match of the session. Second up on the menu, Scott Baker and Mervyn King go head-to-head here at the Live Lounge report. So Mervyn won all 4 of his matches on Thursday evening, and he has got a seemingly insurmountable position in terms of progressing through. Win in any of his games tonight is going to be enough for him to progress through to Saturday's showdown here. He came so close to doing so in Group A. He missed out on Wednesday afternoon to Jamie Atkins, who averaged in excess of 103 in that particular encounter. Up against him, Scott Baker, who night 1 just really didn't go to plan for him. The 38-year-old from Tipton, 3-time semi-finalist here. But he'll be the first to admit that he's a player that could play at a very high level, but was unable to find them. Up against King, 59 years of age now, from Bradwell, making his debut in this competition. And he is looking to make it through to Champions Week at the very first time of asking. And if he does, you could perhaps make an argument on the basis of name, he would be the biggest one that would have progressed through to Series 10's Champions Week.
I can't refute that.
First
I really
leg,
can't.
Scott to throw first. Game on.
Even with names like Rhys Robinson, Devon Peterson, and Derek Coulson, who Mervyn knows plenty about
36.
because they were at the same World Seniors Championship earlier this season. But it'll be interesting to see how this game goes, because when they met in the early hours of today,
81.
I'm going to say this freely, they both looked shattered. I think Scott was mentally done
140.
because he played all night long and he was just not finding a great deal of joy. Whereas Mervyn looked a little physically tired. He's now played 19
121.
completed games this week. This is a grind doing this day on day, and at 59 years of age,
140.
it will not feel simple.
There's players that could have done with that extra couple of days luxury. Probably Mervyn King is one you would have put at the very top of the list. And he probably would be the first to admit that as well. He would have liked to have just had those extra couple of days off instead of going 6 days back to back to back. But Baker here looks like a different man. Looked like we had an imposter on the stage yesterday. I know it's only the first leg of the night, but he looks a bit fresher. The darts look like they're going in a bit better. And he's left himself on a 2-darter after 12.
Well, some people in the past, they have travelled to Portsmouth on the Thursday and played late on the Thursday.
Scott the car 50.
I don't know what Scott did.
18.
He
Mervyn
hasn't won this leg.
42.
And he may reap the whirlwind that is king on double 16.
King is a double 16 guy, but not on that particular occasion. Double 9.
24.
Not to be. And so Baker looking at the target that Mervyn's just missed.
Getting shot on the
Good
first
shot.
leg, Scott Baker.
It's a leg that he could have won, and now it's a leg he has won.
Second leg, Mervyn to throw first.
But Tipton
Game
to
on.
Portsmouth. Now, if you were in Tipton, Henry, and you were going to play that night, would you travel on the Thursday or the Wednesday?
Preferably Wednesday, but if
134.
it's late on Thursday, maybe go in the morning if you fancy it.
I would time it to the Thursday. If I were in his shoes and I was
40.
staying in a hotel, for example, I would make sure I get to that hotel at 3 o'clock exactly. The very moment I can check in, I would get in there. First thing you do,
60.
have a little sleep. Just rest your eyes, rest your head. Sleep off the travel. Then you get a light bite to eat and then you start
85.
getting ready for the action. That way you can feel fresh to play late. Quite a few times we have seen in the past, and Jamie Owens did admit this, that he drove from Middlesbrough to Portsmouth
93.
and within an hour was coming to the live lounge. Now, he actually won 8 points on a Thursday night. Based on what he'd done that day, it was
68.
miraculous. But it doesn't work for everybody.
I think he'd be the first to it. Yes, he played well that day, but there was also a sense of, oh, I might have got away with that one a little bit in his case.
It's not as if Mervyn drove
44.
from Bradwell to Portsmouth on Monday morning. He would have had to leave at about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Well, at least when you're doing the week, you can travel away on the
See,
Sunday,
Mervyn
and
car 170.
you can make it a little bit easier, particularly with the Sunday roads in the UK as well.
Yes. No.
98. Scott the car 128.
That doesn't work either. So King, who has spent a
44.
tiny bit of time in the
Mervyn
top
car
left
72.
corner of the board in this game, he'd like to go back there. Now he wants the top.
Game shot on the second leg.
Beautiful.
Mervyn King.
Big Jeremy Clarkson fan, you know, Mervyn King.
Third leg, Scott to throw first. Game on.
Share a passion for cars and for things that move forwards very fast.
45.
I was once told a story by someone who actually played in this series.
128.
James Hubbard has been in a car with Mervyn King. He was telling me years ago the car that Mervyn was driving was quite nippy.
81.
Mervyn turns to James and says, "Do you want to see how fast this car can go?" James stupidly said yes. And then
24.
Merv just looks forward, presses the accelerator, and James said, "Nothing prepares you for that." I think James was petrified.
60.
He's obviously never been in a car with Owen Binks then.
Trust me, you wouldn't trust Owen Binks with the car that Mervyn was driving at the time.
42.
Wouldn't trust him with a go-kart, let alone a car.
He hasn't done what Aaron Monk's done before, which is total a golf cart on a
60.
Spanish golf course. That's a true story. Now, this is where Mervyn is not driving fast. It's all about rhythm.
58.
Rhythm is always so important to a good darts throw, and it's something that he's had his entire life. That's why he's still playing at this
99.
level, because he's got incredible technique. Amazing poise before dart one. And the hand-eye coordination is still really, really right on point.
99. Scott the car 156.
So 156 for Baker to re-establish the lead at 2-1. Another would have left double 18, not to be on this occasion. So Mervyn returning for 150, and it would put him to within a couple of legs of qualification. Remember, just one win at any point tonight is going to guarantee his place through to the Saturday showdown, to the Saturday throwdown. But the King isn't going to serve a royal invitation to the night's first big finish there. He's going to leave himself on double 12 if Baker cannot find the 61. The 25 would have left double 18. 54 left. And so he's going to have a look at double top here. Finds double top and finds himself 2-1 in front.
Fourth leg moving to throw first. Game on.
Much like Scott's first game last night, it's not blistering, but all you have to do is beat the person on the other side of the scoreboard.
85.
I did question earlier in the week whether Mervyn would be comfortable playing this
21.
late. I know he did win 8 points last night, but he didn't look comfortable.
We saw that towel being used a few times just to dab his head down.
$123. $140.
That's a first start he can use, but he's looking to bounce it in off the side. I love that look he gives the 60 when he doesn't get the max. Why don't you just do as I tell you to do?
177. Moving car 153.
I can't give Scott any criticism for the 177 because he wasn't going to leave a finish. Well, actually,
93.
if he had got 3 more points, he would have. I beg your pardon. He has done something wrong.
And he may be made to pay for this quite handsomely. Could be a king's ransom here. Irvin looking at 60 to level this match up at 2 apiece. He's going to get 2 darts in his hand at double top. And now over for double 10 to square this contest up. And we are back on terms, and we are back at 2-2.
Fifth leg Scott to throw first. Game on.
Change of equipment. Something that Jonathan Platt should probably watch.
100.
Taking spares on the stage. Did you notice today that when he was using his flights, they didn't seem to get any roughage on them?
45.
The only thing that changed over the couple of days was that he kept adding rings to the stems.
80.
I suppose when you got a set from the 1990s, you kind of have to ensure that you take care for dear life with it.
An old pal of mine liked to set a flight so much that he wanted to preserve them.
57.
He painted them with varnish to make sure that they didn't chip away. Well, I'm not sure it worked.
140.
Well, something's beginning to work a bit better for Scott Baker here, because his numbers here just under 87.
41.
And he wasn't really getting to those types of levels on a regular basis last night. In fact, his highest average was 87.4 and a 4-3 defeat to Charlie
97.
Martin midway through the session.
So far this game,
94. Scott Lucar 84.
well, it really is quite tough to call. I know it looks as if Scott Baker should win from this position because he's got the darts in this leg. He would have the darts in the last leg if we go that deep.
48.
But when he starts surveying the leg difference problem he has at the bottom of the table with Max de Jong, we haven't even seen James Richardson yet.
94.
This is a difficult situation to get
Scott
out of.
36.
And so this is a pivotal exchange, and he
Shot on the
finds
fifth
double
leg,
18
Scott
to move
Baker.
3-2 up. I get the sense now that if you're
Six-leg moving to
Scott
throw
and you're
first.
Max,
Game on.
obviously Scott's got to win this game. You're then kind of hoping that Mervyn and Charlie do their own thing and get themselves through. And then I think you're just happy to have the consolation of the fact you're definitely scrapping for one spot.
100.
There you are. Second 180 of the night. One each in this game.
55.
I question whether a Charlie Martin victory was actually very good for Scott or not. I'm not really sure it was.
Probably the tighter the table was, the better
80.
it would be. At least then you're involved in a bit of a scrap. And he may be involved into a last leg scrap here if he's not careful.
140.
Good 140.
He could have left a finish from a 300 plus number in the last leg. This is where you've got to get the use of the board
22.
right. He's
99.
doing the right things. He's keeping pace with King.
So Mervyn, 6 darts on 219 to take us all the way in this second match of the
99.
session. He's going to leave himself on 120. Baker would love a 2-double turn here to leave himself on a 2-darter. He's found the first of them. He's found the second of
137.
them.
Movie car,
And now this
120.
becomes a must-hit for King.
It really does. Going to bend it around the wall. Sensible. Now, right down the pipe.
Game shot on the 6th leg.
Superb.
Mervyn King.
When his back was against the wall, he has found a big moment. And now
So to the
suddenly
final
he's a
leg,
leg
Scott
away
through
from going
first.
through his
Game
Mervyn
on.
King.
Frame that for me, please. That's how you take out 120
140.
the classy way. No collisions, 3 pure shots from 3 different positions. Don't tell me Mervyn King hasn't got a lot to offer this game still. That
100.
finish was absolutely superb.
What do they say about form being
60.
temporary and class being permanent? Well, Mervyn King has expressed all of that in that particular moment.
Hasn't lost his focus all game. This has been a good battle. High 80s averages. This is the kind of game
41.
we expect to happen on a Friday night at the Modus Super Series. Just reaching with that second dart.
140.
Third dart came out a little bit early, but the shoulder jerked up. It was good enough.
60.
And if King wins and Baker stays on 2 points, he'll probably want Charlie Martin to beat James Richardson next.
140.
James showed signs towards the end of last night that he is moving very capably in the right direction. But Mervyn King is back at a point where he was on Wednesday, qualification point.
44.
He was unable to get the job done in
40.
Group A, but he has responded superbly in Group B. And if he finds this double top,
Game shot
Mervyn
in the
King
match.
is
Mervyn
into
King.
Saturday night on his debut at the Super Series. There was a lot of expectation, and he can mop the brow now he is through. People thought that he is a player that could have real ambition of winning the week. He was a big favourite at the beginning of the week, and now he is going to be in the big night at the end of it. Doing so with an average in excess of 90, 4 from 7 on his doubles. He's beaten Scott Baker 4-3. Charlie Martin takes on James Richardson on the other side of this short break.
54. Charlie Maguire, 164. 44. 32. Charlie required 120.
Well, 120. He's got a fair, at least 2 handfuls of this. Just needs to stay
60.
there. That's a good shot. Halves his score. Leaves himself on a 2-darter.
$26. Charlie
Time on his
required
side
60.
to become back-to-back singles champion.
$40.
Definitely a couple of nerves in those last 2 darts. But he'll be coming back.
It's a moment he's been in before this situation. Standing at the back of the
81.
stage,
Charlie
approaching the
required
Oki with a
20.
chance to win the title.
He did this to win the first title, if you remember.
11.
I think he's gone.
Georgia
I think
required
he's gone to
180.
bust it, maybe. The first title he wanted 20. He went 6-7-7 to win it. He had a chance to replicate it again.
Yeah, I get the feeling that was for a bust, and
39.
on that situation there, George Scaife wasn't even
9.
able to take it out going to the 18s on that switch.
Yeah, I think he just panicked a bit, but he's done well to get that big one.
Sometimes can be the hardest part.
Georgia requires
This is it.
79.
It's got to be 19s. It's got to be 19s for this shot. Big 20 and a double. He's got the first one. He's going to get a match dart here.
$59. Charlie
Threw the entire
required
body into that
8.
one. Just didn't want to let go of the dart.
No score.
He's given George a chance.
Georgia require 20.
I think George has been quite good on double 10 today.
So many opportunities for Charlie Murphy.
Go!
Couldn't get the job
it.
done.
Got in the match! And the Red Dragon
George
Modus
Scaife.
Super Series Influencers Champion, George Scaife!
Welcome back to Pluto TV. Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where before the break, Mervyn King secured his passage through to tomorrow night's final with a 4-3 victory over Scott Baker. So Mervyn moves on to 10 points in the group. That's enough for his progression. Next up for us, it is Charlie Martin and James Richardson. For Charlie, he's already been in the winners' enclosure this evening. A quick fire 4-0 win against Max de Jong, up against James Richardson, the 51-year-old from Russia, who really played his best darts towards the latter end of the session. Averages of 96 in both of his final 2 games, including a 4-3 win in this one. Puts him in a good suit going into tonight's play. But if Charlie Martin can win this one, he finds himself in a handy position. He'd have won 2 of the first 3 matches. He'll find himself on 8 points. And he'll find himself within a win of qualifying. And he may not even need any more points, depending on what happens below him. But on a quick fire night, this could well be the quickest match of them all.
Might be the best as well.
125.
First 2 legs of this fixture. What was it, about 21 hours ago-ish?
85.
James Richardson was dizzy because Martin was averaging 130 after a couple of legs. And at this point, we're thinking,
57.
what on earth can he do next? Well, he lost a little bit of outer ring accuracy.
58.
And then James just stuck around with some really good stuff. Ended up pipping Charlie to the post. It was a brilliant game to watch.
And for James, he used every single fibre of his experience to cross the finishing line in that one, knowing that his opponent was having a drop off, and he just stayed at the same level throughout, and he must have known that this guy can't be averaging 130 the whole way through. If I just stick at this level, there should be a tail off. If so, that's when I pounce. That's when I strike.
$41.
It could be a group where James beats everybody he plays, doing what I like to call a Lennox Lewis, because Lennox beat everybody he boxed in his professional career.
29.
He did lose to some people, but he would avenge those things. Now, if James is going to do that, he will have to beat Max de Jong and Mervyn King. They will come in his second games.
55.
As in
James
the games in his second half. He would very much like to go into those games with another win on the books.
Charlie O'Carr, 96.
Preferably 2.
Well, he hasn't dropped a leg yet. That trend's going to continue. He needed to take up 76 in 2, and he's not going to. And so Richardson will come back, having a look here at double top to get the break of throw and to take a 1-0 lead. Top Scott. And how beautiful was that? Right in the middle of the bed, 1-0.
There's a knocky there, James.
Second leg, James to throw first. Game on.
Yeah, don't do a Robert Thornton and twist your ankle. That was particularly nasty when he did that at Premier League.
Steve Bean almost had a nasty collision with those smoke catchers at the back of the stage where he caught his foot underneath one of the footwells and nearly came a cropper, but Charlie Martin finds his first max of the night there.
60.
Doesn't matter how much experience you've got. Different stages have different feels. If you go to Lakeside, for instance,
58.
a place where James has played, it's not very deep. Behind the person throwing at the oche, there's not a great deal of stage space. You will find yourself very close to your opponent. So the trick there
64.
is to stand behind them, but slightly to the right or left.
Well, that's where you see at that particular tournament, a lot of players just spend the rest of the time when their opponents at the board at the drinks table. Second 180 of the leg. 180, 58, 180. The Charlie Martin leg up to press, and he is threatening the break back, potentially in as few as 11 darts.
$31.
That'll do. Just got to inch towards the line. Richardson just about to make the halfway point.
95. Charlie O'Carr, 52.
Still got lots of time to get this done. No point messing around. So he just gets it done now. Well done, 15 darter.
And a break back for CM.
Third leg, Charlie to through first. Game on.
Is he a punk?
No, Johnny Haynes was here last week.
You know what CM stands for in CM
100.
Punk?
Absolutely no idea.
Chicago made.
95. $84.
Does Charlie have a nickname? Or is he not quite there yet?
It's not quite at that moment in
84.
time just yet. Maybe he's just one of those players that just likes being Charlie Martin. Maybe no alias to him. He's just happy being Kim. Showcasing himself in a very good light, and he's playing very well here. Third 180 of the match.
Yeah, you're not joking. It's actually a surprise with 3 maximums that his average isn't bigger.
24.
But as he keeps putting his foot down,
37.
James is just losing the line a little bit here.
43.
They both are.
$123. Charlie O'Carr, 94.
Charlie's getting too much time to take care of legs here.
54.
He's gone for the marker dart there. He's just missed it on the right-hand side.
$81.
Well, the
Yellow
scoring
card,
power of
40.
Charlie Martin's just not been matched by his opponent in this contest.
Game shown on the third leg, Charlie
And just
Martin.
when Richardson was just in a position to potentially pounce, Martin makes no mistakes of the
Fourth
double
leg,
top
James,
there
is in first.
to move
Game on.
himself 2-1 to the good.
$24.
Well, we saw this, I suppose, from James last night, where he averaged 82 in a defeat to Mervyn King in his
60.
opener, would then average 85. So he didn't play badly, not to maybe a level that's in it now, where he really is finding a struggle. But it did take him
100.
a couple of games on Thursday evening to get going, but he may not be afforded that luxury tonight.
58.
It's easy to think that if you replicate what you do on a Thursday night, it will be good enough to make Saturday. I'm not sure it will. There is a possible scenario
30.
where 8 points might not be good enough. It all depends on leg difference. But as it stands, if James is
42.
taken out in this game and his leg difference suffers, Baker and Max de Jong are invited back into the fold.
58. $100. $59.
The range, it's worrying me. I look at the size of the gap between the 60 and a couple of darts there. He just hasn't got
81.
that feel tonight by the looks of it from the off. He's had plenty of time to get it because he started his campaign last night in game 2. This is a little bit later. I thought that was going to
77.
suit him down to the
Charlie
ground.
Car, 160.
It might still do so, but it's proving to be hard work.
Well, Martin's not going to take out the 160. Richardson will return looking at the
140.
153, and he's going to have to take it out, otherwise it could be broken here. Martin's going to get 3 in his hand at double 10. Now, early on this afternoon in Group C, this was a double which was
41.
causing all
Charlie Car,
sorts
20.
of problems for everybody else.
Especially Tommy Lishman. Problems, you say?
10.
It's
James
happened
Ricard,
again.
112.
If I remember rightly, this was the point in the game yesterday between the pair where Charlie Martin was missing that target on a all too regular basis, and James Richardson was able to mop up the pieces, but he's not going to find the 112 here.
88.
And so
Charlie
Martin's
Ricard,
going to have to
10.
struggle again on double 5, and his opponent is on a double to level up. It should be 3-1 Charlie Martin.
Should is a strong word.
No score. James Ricard, 24.
Should is never a guarantee of success. Well, that wasn't part of the plan. 19 left. Double 4.
16. Charlie Ricard, 10.
Third visit to try and take this 4th leg.
And eventually he finds, and eventually he fires himself 3-1 to the good. And importantly as well for Charlie Martin, he has the darts here to win this match, to put himself onto 8 points, but also what he'd do for the legs difference as well if he can get it done in this particular leg, because he would have won 8 legs tonight for the concession of just 1.
85.
That's the first dart he needs. Makes all the difference.
125.
As long as he doesn't travel on his 3rd dart like he did there. When are people going to get that whole notion that moving
40.
on dart 3 just doesn't do you any good?
$100.
It is possibly the biggest bad habit in the sport. You know how most golfers, when they top the ball, it's because they take their eye off the ball?
140.
The equivalent in darts is when you're throwing your 3rd shot and you're on the move.
60.
I honestly don't know why people do it.
$58.
Well, Martin's left himself close to finish. Richardson should leave himself on a finish after this.
100.
He's going to leave himself on a handy one as well with the 116. But Martin here with a couple of triples can leave himself on a double to win the match here and now. And he finds that second double 20, leave himself double 19.
Well, this is a match-saving position. It is still. What a shot that was.
76.
Now this is a match-winning position.
That could be the final roll of the James Richardson dice. Charlie Martin's going to go straight for the double 19, get the double 19, and he's going to put himself onto 8 points and put himself in an incredibly strong position to make it through. He had 0 legs dimmed at the beginning of the night. He now has won 8 legs with a concession of 1 and has 8 points plus 7. He's not quite there, but he is very close to being there, is Charlie Martin. He missed 10 darts and a double, but a lot about that performance was fairly good. He's beaten James Richardson by 4 legs to 1. Coming up after the break, Mervyn King takes on Max de Jong. Welcome back to the live lounge here with Porter for the Modus Super Series, where so far tonight we know that Mervyn King is definitely through and Charlie Martin is very close to joining him. He beat James Richardson by 4 legs to 1 before the break. He's won his first 2 games with the concession of just a solitary leg. Our next match sees Mervyn King and Max de Jong go toe-to-toe here on the live lounge stage. King safely through, but a defeat here for Max de Jong could be very costly indeed. A loss in this one would mean that he'd be a couple of points adrift to James Richard, who could open up the gap to 4 if he beats Scott Baker. And Max would then only have just a couple more points to play for. And it means that for him, there's the potential of another trip to Portsmouth coming without a Saturday night appearance. But for Mervyn King, he's very safe in the knowledge that he is going to be there in the Saturday night throwdown.
I like that. The Saturday night throwdown. That's got something about it. Where did you pick that one from?
Well, it's one of the better catchphrases, isn't it?
It's better than the one from
78.
that movie Free Guy, where the catchphrase is actually catchphrase. True story. But yeah, Saturday night throwdown it will be.
80.
So it's West, King, Lishman and Atkins. Full of quality.
And players that are very much in form right now, aren't they?
100.
You know, there's a few weeks in this series you looked at, yeah, it's very open for interpretation. People that can do something for the first time. There are people making it through to Saturday this week that we know
76.
are capable, whether it's because they've done it in this building before or because they've done it in other arenas. There's not going to be any unknowns about what happens on Saturday. The only unknown we got yet is who's going to be the 6.
140.
I suppose now the question is who's going to be the 2?
And I hear that Jamie Atkins is going to have a sizable contingent with him tomorrow. He's going to be bringing around about 10 fans down from Warwick.
Has he got enough tickets?
I believe he has. And there will be a guest appearance from a certain Danny Lauby.
So there'll be another weekly winner in the house.
125.
Let's hope he's not spinning in the chairs like he was last time he was here. King looking at 125. Tops. Just below.
105. Maxikar 136.
That's very kind of you. That was a little bit more than just below. That one's not below. That was powerful.
120. Bubakar 20.
Merv can count himself very fortunate to be coming back.
He's going to return for double 10 to take the opening leg.
Game
And double 10 he gets. And Mervyn King just continues this Group B procession.
First. Game on.
Is that your way of saying if Mervyn King gets a weekly title or a Champions Week victory, he can have an open-top bus through Portsmouth? All hail the King.
140.
I should have said bow down to the King, because that's the lyrics from his walk-on song by Motorhead.
Yes, only good players walk on to Motorhead tracks. Him and, of course, Chris Mason used to walk on to the Ace of Spades by that particular band.
So did Steve Douglas.
135.
Some other people tried to use The Game by Motorhead, but nobody did it. Nobody did it better than Steve Douglas.
So, yeah, Scott Walters walked on
43.
to The Game by Motorhead because he is nicknamed The Game.
Just like Steve Douglas.
$80.
That's the second time you've mentioned Scott Walters today, and it was his birthday this week.
$49. Maxikar 146.
Well, that was a very exasperated visit from Mervyn. He never wants to see himself starting his 4th visit with his score beginning with a 3.
49.
And it's still in 3 figures.
$140.
So De Jong to level up, looking at 97. 6 starts on this point to take us all the way.
57.
Now, this is the kind of leg that Max de Jong really needed. Something of a steady nature.
43.
Because he did not play well in his first game at all. Nice and steady. That's what a 17 darter is. If he was on a ship right now, he'd be able to stand up straight without any wavering.
Playing some decent darts here in the early exchange as well, Max de Jong. But he knows that at some point in this contest, he's going to have to find a break of foe. And the way Mervyn King's playing, it's going to be a very difficult task. And he knows if games when he's on throw, those are legs that he has to pinpoint. Everything else, as long as he holds, is irrelevant.
That was an incredibly venomous visit there from Mervyn. He was staring through the board when he hit it.
$57.
This is their 5th meeting of the week. It's 2-2. And if I had to hazard a guess, at this stage,
43.
I'd be hanging my hat on this being their last meeting.
Well, it looks more likely than not Max de Jong could be in a position where his Super Series week
99.
comes towards a close. He's going to need something big in what remains of this campaign.
I think he's going to have to find his best darts of the week in his next 3 games to stand a chance.
95. $96.
He's himself on 72 upon his return. Should get a dart at least at tops, worst case scenario when he does come back. Jones just constantly finding himself a visit behind in legs.
72.
And King able to capitalise here if he can find this 72. Another one of them. Leads himself double top.
52.
Double top does not go, but he will be coming back for 3 more in his hand, a double 10.
He had 263 and he left 168.
80. Moving the car 20.
If he loses this leg, he's only got himself to blame.
And it's a leg that will be forever known as Mervyn King's. He's 2-1 to the good. And we're getting to the point now where if he wins this game, he's 2 more from doing something not many have done. And that is the full set of 16 points from 16 points. Derek Coulson did it a couple of weeks ago in joining Bo Greaves 59. As a player that has not dropped a game in winning a week. Admittedly, if you're going to do it, the best chance of doing it is probably playing Group B for starters, winning all 8 games, and then getting through the 4 on the Saturday night.
100.
Already, Mervyn looks like he's struggling. It's been a very long week for him.
$180. $81.
Well, that 180 there for Max has given him control of this 4th leg.
128.
He is in cruise control now, this 4th leg. It feels like one of those matches where the player going first is having all of the say.
98. Max Ricard, 134. $98.
He'll leave himself on 36 to level this game up at 2-2.
$91. Max Ricard, 36.
Not really steadying the ship this leg.
Game shot on the fourth leg.
More like
Maxion.
steering it and going a little bit faster. I'm really
Fifth
finding
leg
it hard
through
to
first. Game on.
find a favourite in this game. It's a bit of a weird one. De Jong has got the best numbers, but it feels like he's only performed in 2 of the 4 legs.
I think the same argument can be made for both players. They've done their business on their front.
45.
But De Jong with the best leg of the match, the 14 darter there, just makes it look a little bit better. But he has to attack the king darts, has to get a break at some point, and he's been given an opportunity and an opening
85.
to do exactly that in this leg.
There's something on my mind right now, Henry. And
84.
it is warm on that stage tonight. It'll be warmer tomorrow when there's about 100 people in here.
And I think it's going to be fairly busy in here tomorrow as well.
46.
Yeah, it will be boisterous as well, because if Charlie Martin's qualifying with Jamie Atkins bringing people down, Steve West might have a bit of a posse. This place is going to be bouncing.
140.
Hope those balcony chairs are ready to be in commission tomorrow night, or shall I say the church plinths.
I hope Merv has brought his earplugs.
Have we had anyone wear earplugs on that stage yet?
55.
Well, there was a really good situation last week when Boris Kruchma was playing Dirk van Dijvenbode in Göttingen. It was on the Friday afternoon. Dirk put in his earplugs, and at the end of the match, he was complaining that the crowd was
38.
shouting at him. Admittedly, they did when he was throwing, but they did so when he had earplugs in. So the earplugs mustn't have been that good.
My mind's just whirling now. Didn't Mervyn King wear earplugs in the World Championship behind closed doors as well?
82.
Or am I going too far there?
No, I think he did, because that was part of him trying to feel more comfortable within his own bubble.
132.
Lovely use of the board.
Ryubikura Suzuki did that towards the end of her first World Championship win. Decided to keep him in for the first couple of games because she wanted
36.
to soak up the
Momika,
atmosphere of the
62.
lakeside, but then decided as the tournament got a little bit more serious to put the earplugs in and to fully concentrate on the task at hand. And the task at hand here for King is double top.
42.
He's going to come back for 3 more because guess what? It's another leg where the player phone first has had all the joy.
$49. Mavuka 20.
It's double 10. And Mervs just want to have fun.
Who would have thought Cindy Lauper would have got into the broadcast?
10. Max Schumacher 148.
There was no fun had there. Splitsville. That's different. Right, so that was...
114. Mavuka 10.
That one's got me in knots.
I won't repeat what my spotters just said, but he is flummoxed
Game
as
shot
to
on the
what
fifth leg. Mervyn King.
just happened there as King pins the double 5
Six leg
to
Max
open up a
through
3-2
first.
lead.
Hang
Come
on, my first thought was right. He was going 57, 57, double 17.
$60.
I can understand why someone would try that. It's just different.
$58.
It's like having snail porridge. It doesn't make sense, does it? However, I'm getting somewhere with this. Are you?
95.
Snail porridge actually is on the menu at a 3-star restaurant run by Heston Blumenthal. So you think it doesn't make sense? Then it gets 3 Michelin stars.
140.
Point proven. So if you had snail porridge on your bingo card, well done.
$100.
It's all about concentrating the area of the board, isn't it? Because Keegan Brown and Simon Whitlock have been doing this for years. 152. What does Keegan do? 257's 38. Same principle. But nobody in their right mind goes for double 17 unless it's absolutely necessary.
Well, that's a max.
180.
And it looks like this game is going to head to the inevitability of a last leg decider.
$121.
That last start was incredible. How did it go in there?
But a couple of darts like that in this game as De Jong looks at double 18
Game
to
on the six
take
leg,
the
Max
That's a
de Jong.
second consecutive 14 darter on throw.
Seventh and final leg,
Permission
moving
to be
31st.
flummoxed about
Good.
how this game has gone.
Well, it's pretty easy to calculate his average on his own throw because it totals. That's 17, 14, and 14.
59.
That's 45 darts. That's 100 average. But overall, he's averaging less than, well, just a little bit
95.
more than 10, less than that. And he's still not the favourite for the game. Don't tell me that timing doesn't come into darts.
Because as good as Max de Jong has been on his throw, he has to break Mervyn King here.
139.
There's no other avenue for him. And if he loses this game, he is in big, big bother.
Yeah, he'd only have 2 more games to go. His maximum points tally would be 6.
29.
He would have to beat James Richardson and Scott Baker. And the thing that saves him is that they are the people he's trying to chase down.
57.
Spoke about timing.
140.
And that 140 is perfectly timed. It keeps himself on the periphery of King, basically saying to his opponent, you can't afford another mishap.
Every game they've had this week has been close as well. Minimum of 6 legs played.
140.
The last 3 days it's been 4-3. Twice to Max. And then last night it was Merv's turn.
And if it's Merv's turn again, he'll be 6 from 6. He'll be a
96.
couple of
Mervyn
games
Car,
away
106.
from the double card completion. To wrap it up, it's double 16.
74.
It's not quite
Max
there.
Car, 141.
I'll get 2 receivers in the end zone and throw it from 50 yards. You know what they call that? Well,
93.
that was a
Mervyn Car,
questionable
32.
play, let's put it that way, going bull on 90.
Mervyn King, double 16. It's usually a route towards success. But that flight's slightly obscuring.
Game shot on
But
the
there
match,
was
Mervyn
no
King.
mistake about the double 8. And there's no mistaking Mervyn King's dominance of this Group B. The 4-3 victory there means that he is now 6 wins from 6. And he's a couple of games away from completing back-to-back cards in this group. This is how he's done so, despite having an average 5 points fewer than his opponent, Max de Jong. But it's King who crosses the line, a 4-3 winner there. Coming up after the break, James Richardson takes on Scott Baker in game number 5. Are you ready to lift that trophy, Darius? Yes. Let's do it then. Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series 9 champion is Lucky D, Darius Lewandowski!
Well, what a wonderful night of darts we have seen, and we are ready. Our champion is ready, and it's trophy. So receive the trophy. 25 £1,000.
The new Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And one more time, the 8th Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And the new Modus Super Series champion is Andreas Dirty Harrison. And one more time, the 7th Modus Super Series champion. Give it up for Andreas Dirty Harrison.
The moment we've all been waiting for. Would you please show your appreciation for your Series 6 Modus Super Series champion, Scott Taylor?
One more time, your new Modus Super Series champion. He is Chucky. He is Jim McEwen.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series champion, retaining his title, the Nuke, Luke Littler! Welcome back to the Modus Super Series live on the dedicated Pluto TV channel. Before the break, Mervyn King got the better of Max de Jong by 4 legs to 3. We now head into Game 5 of our night session, and it sees a meeting between James Richardson and Scott Baker. Two players who are looking to get on the boards. For James, well, didn't quite get off to the tune he would have liked. A 4-1 defeat to Charlie Martin. Scott Baker lost out in the last leg decider to Mervyn King. Mervyn's actually played the full quota of legs available to him so far.
First leg, James to throw first.
There are some permutations
Game on.
riding on this particular contest. Win for James Richardson would actually be enough to send Charlie Martin through, because Baker and de Jong would then only be able to get to a maximum of 6 points, and Martin already finds himself on 8 in this particular group.
140.
So Richardson has a bit of a cheer squad in the practice room right now, totaling Charlie Martin.
And that's a very big
44.
cheer squad, because he's not the smallest of fellows, is our Charlie.
100.
That sounds like such a northern statement. He's not the smallest of fellas, are Charlie.
This is where we need a Paul Hinks
85.
to say it in his Yorkshire twang.
Yeah, you just stick to your own twang.
45.
Yeah, we don't need any accents. There he is. Mr. Hinks, who does such a stellar job here at the Super Series.
Now, this is the game where James Richardson really did start to ignite last night.
JK 109.
He nailed Scott Baker to the wall. The average was nearly 97, 4 out of 6 on the doubles, a ton plus checkout, a 180. There was a lot to admire. Oh, we're not getting a single. Look at the pain.
86.
Never neglect your singles. This is a tricky checkout for James. He was always going to have to move. And
40.
pesky 10s strike again.
Didn't get many opportunities in his match against
Game
Charlie
show the first
Marty. He's not
leg,
going to
Scott
get another
Baker.
opportunity in this leg because Scott Baker moves one up and he gets a breaker
Second leg,
through.
Scott through first.
Would you
Game on.
like a Paul Hinks fun fact?
Do you know what? I'm not really in the mood.
90.
Of course I do.
I'm not going to tell you now.
No, I'll refer to my first answer then. Come on, give us the fact.
140.
Paul Hinks was throwing some darts on stage for the session. Now, to kind of put
40.
something really kind of mundane to you at home into a context, to make sure the show goes live, we do various testing before every single broadcast. And one of them is to throw some darts on the stage, see whether the cameras and the sound and all that are calibrated together. So Paul Hinks was the person elected to throw some darts tonight. And he had 7 visits to the board. And in those 7 visits, he hit 5 bullseyes. And I mean bullseyes.
As opposed to...
Well, as in for it being...
As opposed to 25s?
Yes, yes.
45.
People call them different things around the world. Some people call them double bulls.
100.
Inner bulls. If you go on a soft tip board, they're not actually red. They're black. And if you hit them in a soft tip
100.
board, the computer above the board says 3 in the black.
In matter of fact, the first ever PDC World Championship final, the board,
59.
the bullseye was red in the 25 and black in the middle.
Same company as this one.
100.
Dennis Priestley, who beat Phil Taylor, and the rest, I suppose, is history from that point onwards. Richardson coming back, looking at 56 to
140.
break back and to level this
Moving on,
contest
56.
up at 1 apiece.
Now the old step to the left.
Game shown on the second leg, James Richardson.
He doesn't put his hand on his hips because he's not in the time warp.
Third leg, James to throw first. Game on.
Yeah, swing your knees in time, James. You'll never get Scott Baker doing anything like that. But you might get him doing some Northern Soul.
60.
At the minute, he's living in the south, though, of this table. This is the only group this
100.
week which has 5 players in it. It has a top 2, a bottom 2, and someone in the middle. James,
100.
right now, is very comfortable in the middle. He has been there since the start of the night. And he has not moved once.
140. $100. $60.
Considering Scott's proud record of making Saturdays, is it fair of us to say that this might be the first time he's come to Portsmouth
60.
and has underachieved?
I think you can argue that, yeah. And look, I know that he hasn't
60.
in recent times played as much as perhaps we have seen from him in the past. Maybe he's just slightly undercooked in that particular category, but he's a player, and the reason why people like Scott Baker we could be a little bit disappointed with is because we know how good he is. And it's not for want of trying or anything like that.
95.
It's just one of those
Got a
weeks
car,
where it
141.
has not gone to plan.
Not yet. But he is drastically
41.
running out of time.
James Ducat, 86.
He's one of those people as well that'll be very honest about his appraisal of things. Double 17, leaves double 16. Would have left
70.
Richardson of a
Got a
2-1
car,
lead.
100. $52.
That was a
Ducat,
really
16.
interesting idea from Scott, but what was wrong with the lie on the 60?
Game
That's
shown
a
on the
lovely
third
shot there
leg,
from James, a
Richardson.
2-1 lead. And he's inching closer to sending
Fourth
Charlie
leg,
Martin
Scott to
through.
first. Game on.
He is doing Mr. Martin a favour.
It's already been a very good night for Northamptonshire darts.
140.
county teammate of James, Rebecca Rose, has won on her England debut against Wales tonight. She will play against Scotland tomorrow. Many congratulations to Becca. And our colleague here at the Modus Super Series, Laura Turner, just lost out to Rhiannon O'Sullivan, but you're making your debut for your country and you take on
85.
The Women's Week champion in Rhiannon O'Sullivan, one of the best players in the world. That was a tough draw for Laura, but
45.
She acquitted herself brilliantly, just losing out by 3 legs to 2.
Yeah, that ended up being a 3-3 draw, that meeting between England and Wales. Dieter Hedman won the opener. Rhiannon O'Sullivan and Jack Leggett would win for Wales. Steph Clark and Rebecca Rose made it advantage England, and then Rachel
65.
Kingdon would beat Paige Paul in the last game of the night. Another. And it would have been for the breaker throw. Richardson's nearly went for a little bit of a trip there, but he's managed to recompose himself, and he has control of this game if Baker cannot find the 170.
Which he will not.
100.
It was a very peculiar last dart that James threw. It's as if he wasn't ready, and he stopped himself from throwing it. He was ready for that. It's a 3-1 lead.
And is he ready now to take a big step in the right direction? Not just with this automatically send Charlie Martin through to the final tomorrow night, but it would put James Richardson in a position where it'd be harder not to qualify than to qualify.
21.
It would be a big advantage in leg difference as well.
44.
It may even be as much as 8 legs, which is the magic number when it comes to one-game swings.
123.
He's finding that pace of play just a little bit quicker than last night.
140.
I'm convinced that when he plays in the second half tonight, he's going to be better than this. But if he wins in game 2 ahead of the second half, he's already doing better than last night.
46.
And imagine a bit of a shackles off James Richardson. Yes, he knows that he's not 100% through, but I think you'll see a little bit of more relaxed James because he knows that he's got everything where he wants it. But that's not the first time where it's looked like he's going to do a Del Boy and only fools and horses.
95. $140.
This is for the match. He'd like to get it sewn up. Charlie Martin, watch out. He could be through to Saturday night in the next 60 seconds.
56. Scott the car, 117.
I think that kind of categorises Scott Baker's week so
74.
far. It will confirm Charlie Martin through this 60 if it goes, and it put James Richardson very, very close to. It's double 10 for a comprehensive victory.
40.
And that grazed the wire and wasn't far away.
You mentioned Del Boy. It was actually Scott Baker that was leaning against the table there. Double 15. Take it easy, Scott. Take it easy.
6 legs, Scott to throw first.
He's taking legs with routes that he can't even fathom.
Now, he's been learning that off of Max de Jong.
100.
Yeah, but he was trying to go the right way. He wasn't trying to bamboozle everybody in the building.
100.
Yeah, I've got a feeling our spotter won't want to come back for a while after tonight.
140.
Hold that thought. Because we're going to announce the players for next week again after this. There's some fairly swift
60.
players next week as well. Maybe not as dastardly when it comes to the finishing
100.
as a certain Max de Jong, but time will tell.
$26.
You know something? Maybe James Richardson is not going to win this game after all.
97.
There are no guarantees. And then the person who was really losing out is Max de Jong.
108. He's got the car 64.
I can't figure this game out. It changes complexion every 10 seconds.
32.
Now it might be a win for James.
35.
Not to be, and so Baker's got a chance to take us all the way
24.
for the
Shot the car
third
32.
time in 5 matches.
Getting shot on the
No
six leg,
mistake
Scott
on that
Baker.
double 16, and we are back at a level match.
7th and final leg, James to throw first. Game on.
Well, MOD in British speak can mean 2 things.
100.
If you're a mod, you're into the look and everything that comes with the movie
97.
Quadrophenia. But MOD actually stands for Ministry of Defence. But like we always say, there's no defence in darts.
There's only one ministry that I'm very, very
125.
interested in, and that's the Ministry of Sound. You've never listened to them CDs,
60.
have you?
More specifically, how have you?
Because when I was 6 years old, my parents used to put the
81.
CDs of the Ministry of Sound in the car on the way to school.
60.
I can't believe I didn't know this about you, Henry. I didn't realise you were a Ministry of Sound guy.
79.
My tastes have become more refined as the
I've
years
met
have gone.
Judge Jules. I've met Seb Fontaine. I've met some of the biggest DJs because my sister used to dance for them.
41. James McCall 116.
We've got conversations to have, but James Richardson's got shots to hit.
$56.
Are you watching, Charlie Martin? Or are you
100.
ready for Saturday
James McCall,
night?
60.
It's not in your hands. It's in James's hands.
He could hand it to you without having to play. What a luxury that is.
40. Scott
Well, maybe you're going to have to earn it
143.
yourself because Scott Baker finds a 1-4-3. That is exactly what you're going to have to do against Mervyn King after the break. Well, what a comeback this would be. He was 3-1 down. He's not going to find the 1-4-3 to complete the turnaround mind.
92.
And so Richardson will come
James
back.
McCall, 20.
He's looking at double 10 to complete a 4-3 victory. Double
James
10
on the
found
match,
in the
James
top
Richardson.
corner. It's a win that puts James Richardson close to qualification, but it confirms Charlie Martin's place through. And again, a touching tribute to the Evans family. We are all thinking of you. We're all sending our love, thoughts and prayers to you at this time as Richardson seals a 4-3 win against Scott Baker. That's the halfway point of the night. Coming up on the other side of the break, Mervyn King looking to make it 14 from 14. Him and Charlie Martin are both through. Maybe they'll play with a bit of freedom, bit of swagger, bit of flair. We'll find out after the break.
$54. Charlie McGuire, 164. $44. $32. Charlie required 120.
Well, 120. He's got a fair, at least 2 handfuls at this. Just needs to stay
60.
there. That's a good shot. Halves his score, leaves himself on a 2-darter.
$26. Charlie
Time on his
required
side
60.
to become back-to-back singles champion.
$40.
Definitely a couple of nerves in those last 2 darts. But he'll be coming back.
It's a moment he's been in before this situation. Standing at the back of the
81.
stage,
Charlie
approaching the
required
Oki with a
20.
chance to win the title.
He did this to win the first title, if you remember.
11.
I think he's gone.
Georgia
I think
require
he's gone to
118.
bust it, maybe. The first title he wanted 20. He went 6-7-7 to win it. He had a chance to replicate it again.
Yeah, I get the feeling that was for a bust. And
39.
on that situation there, George Scaife wasn't even able to take it out going to the 18s on that switch.
Yeah, I think he just panicked a bit, but he's done well to get that big one.
Sometimes can be the hardest part.
Georgia requires
This is it.
79.
It's got to be 19s. It's got to be 19s for this shot. Big 20 and a double. He's got the first one. He's going to get a match dart here.
Charlie
Threw the entire body into that one. Just didn't want to let go of the dart.
No score.
He's given George a chance.
Georgia require 20.
I think George has been quite good on double 10 today.
So many opportunities for Charlie Murphy. Couldn't get the job done.
And the match! And the Red Dragon
George
Modus
Scaife.
Super Series Influencers Champion, George Scaife!
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where it is time for game 16. But before we do that, we're going to have a look at the results on tonight's session. So far this evening, Charlie Martin and Mervyn King both won both of their games. They're both through to tomorrow night's final. James Richards got himself a helping hand in doing so himself by beating Scott Baker 4-3. That's what we got in the second part of the session tonight. Let's have a look at the table. King with 12.6 wins to his name. He's through as is Charlie Martin. The race is on for the final spot. And next week, we've got a fun week as well here at the Live Lounge. Let's take a look at some of the players that are going to be in action.
And those three words are, you are mine.
What a finish! What a man!
Oh my word! It's wonderful.
Oh, that's a Hail Mary and a half.
Goodbye.
Group A looks mouth-watering, doesn't it? David Davis, Andy Davidson, Tom Sykes, Jimmy Van Schie, Brian O'Man. Fast, furious, exciting. Group B, Simon Whitlock, Mike Gillett and Mark Dudbridge in action. Well, we've replaced one Thomas with another because Thomas Morris is coming in for Thomas Banks, and he's going to be alongside Carl Wilkinson and Darnell McCrory. And that will get underway on the 31st of March, Monday morning, 9:30 here, live and exclusive on Pluto TV. Should be a cracking week, and this should be a cracking match as Charlie Martin and Mervyn King go head-to-head here. It's match number 6 of the night session here. And Paul Nicholson, can you please bail me out because I need a drink of water.
Happily, Henry. Knock yourself out. 5 weekly winners next week. Andrew Davidson. Can't wait to see him again. He's fab. Tom Sykes. Take a chair because everybody wants to watch him play.
First leg,
Whitlock
Charlie
back.
through first.
What's not to like about
Come
week
on.
10? Because when we get to week 10, we start to get excited about Champions Week. It's only a month away.
And week 10, like week 8, weeks where
42.
winners are usually found in this particular building. Now, Martin Biggs is a big friend of Ricky Evans. He's
140.
actually just tweeted us as Ricky, saying Biggsy with a lot of G's and a lot of Y's. Have fun and look after him, guys.
60.
So what Ricky's saying is, it's another one of those classic darting nicknames. Biggsy.
Ricky's also responded to a couple of
57.
tweets from people, and he actually said this on his personal Twitter account. One of the hardest Group A's I've ever seen. Biggs won't care, and he's going to mess with a few heads for sure.
Well, he's going to have to bring a game. You know that, Ricky, because you've got a former WDF #1 in Brian Roman. You've got Jimmy Van Schie, who's on a bit of a run here of 3 consecutive series with a weekly win, and one of the best players without a tour card. And I haven't even mentioned Sykes, Davidson, and another name in that group. That is impressive to say the least. I mean, David Davies, he was in Champions Night, the night that Labanauskas won, and he had a ridiculous win streak towards the end of
65.
His Group B campaign towards the Saturday night as well. So Davies will be more confident than ever coming back to Portsmouth.
121.
Didn't Davis and Sykes meet at Champions Night, or was my mind going a bit blurry?
Well, Sykes made the final and Davies made the semis, didn't he?
99. Charlie O'Carr, 123. $91. Mervyn O'Carr, 96.
King looking at 96 to get the break. Double 18.
The old 3-darter on 96.
64. Charlie O'Carr, 32.
He's not pleased with that because he knows that Charlie's probably going to swoop in here. Swoop he
On the
does.
first leg, Charlie Martin.
This was game number 5 of Thursday night. And as we get very close to Saturday morning, we can reminisce on what was Mervyn's best performance of Thursday night against Charlie.
122.
92 average, 3 maximums, 4 out of 4 on the doubles. But it was one of those performances where he didn't need a very large combination finish to get the job done in 6 legs, because he was 4 out of 4 with a maximum check out of 40.
99.
And even though he's already through, you can see that King wants 16 points out of this group. He does not want to lose.
100.
Mervyn's one of those players, and you know him very well, that I think because of what happened in Group A, he's got a point to prove. Even though he's through, I think he wants to hammer down the fact that he feels like he is a player that perhaps is the best in this group, the best in this building. And I think he wants to show a lot of people the capabilities that he still has, because it's easy when you drop off the tour for people to say that you're not as good as you was before. Because to a lot of people's eyes, because you're playing at this level, you're not that tour level. And I think Mervyn may well just want to prove a point to 1 or 2 of those people that think that maybe that top level isn't there still anymore.
That's still there. He showed it on Monday morning.
100.
That is still the best performance of the week. The very first game. But the last time he lost,
100. That
was the game with Jamie Atkins on Wednesday afternoon. And that did not sit well with him.
Game shot in the second leg.
He might not lose again this week. Think about that.
Third leg, Charlie to through first.
He could go on and do a Derek Coulson from Thursday night to Saturday night in winning 12 straight games.
92.
Yeah, DC with a comic book run towards the title, a fantasy run towards the title in that particular weekend. We will be seeing him at a third consecutive Champions Week come the
43.
end of next month.
And he'll have a chance to break Daryl Pilgrim's record of matches won consecutively.
55.
He stands at 12 at the minute. If he can win 6 more when he comes back to Champions Week, he can set a new record.
58.
Now, he is going to be playing Group A. We know that for a fact. The highest average of the series, one of the highest averages we've ever seen. In fact, I was
121.
conversing with our statistical guru about some of the all-time averages. And do you know what? Not many of them are players that go on to win weeks.
99.
Not many at all.
That's true. Jason Askew didn't win the week that he put in the 118 in Southampton. That was won by Scott Marsh.
171.
Brilliant there from Martin. That's actually a really good point.
7 of the top 10 highest ever weekly averages have not gone on to win their week.
180.
We're having a hot spell on the hockey right now. 171, followed by a maximum. Followed by
42.
a chance for King.
121.
So King looking at 1-2-1. Down for treble 17. Now for the bull. But not for the
86.
fireworks. And so Martin has a chance to move 2-1 in front. And for Charlie Martin, you mentioned this yesterday. What a scalp it would be if he could beat Mervyn King. He's a player moving in the right direction.
Getting shown the
That'll
third by
work.
Charlie Martin.
He spent a bit of time on double 5 today.
Fourth leg moving to throw first.
It's not really a
Game
good
on.
thing. But if you are breaking doubles down and still getting lots of chances at double 5, it means that your scoring books have definitely been laced up.
180.
Did you see his look on the 60 there? Hit that maximum and he did not take his eyes off the treble 20. It was demonic.
125.
He looks locked in. I know he's 2-1 down in this game. But he looks absolutely dialed in, does Mervyn. There is a real focus on his face. And maybe as well, the fact that he's played that one night where he now knows what it's like to be
100.
playing late into the evening. There's nothing new about this now. He's had a day to learn all about it. And maybe that fatigue that we saw, maybe it points towards the end of yesterday. I don't think we'll see tonight. He'll be wiser for the experience
45.
of yesterday.
I think he might have played some late night darts in his times in the Netherlands in the late 90s and early 2000s. He's definitely played some late night darts in Ireland doing exhibitions because they don't start those things until about 10:30 at night.
22.
So maybe he
Motorcar,
just needed
41.
last night to feel more comfortable.
And I can guarantee that those Irish exhibitions were a little bit louder than this room.
Slightly.
Game shown on the fourth leg.
But that 11 darter is very loud. It won't sound it,
Fifth leg Charlie
but it
to throw
sends
first.
a
Game
message.
You do get my brain whirling sometimes, Nico.
Is that what I can
on.
hear?
60.
There's not much grey matter there, but there's a little bit now.
That's enough.
This would be perfect for somewhere like... Oh, and if you found the right venue, could you imagine a Saturday night Super Series over the Emerald Isle?
$95.
Yeah, that would be fun.
Mervyn King's just hit his fourth max of this game, averaging 105.
That's the first time that someone's had
45.
4 maximums in a game in this group. Now, we did get 4 maximums in 2 consecutive
100.
games. And that was on Thursday from David Williams and Steve West. That's the only time it's happened over the last
60.
couple of days. Yeah, that's the only time this week, in fact.
100.
Yeah, getting 4 maximums in a game that is only best of 7 is a bit tricky. Which means the record held by Mark Dudbridge, who will be here next week.
180.
It makes it even better, but that is the first time that we've had 5.
And there's enough time in this game, by the way, for the 7 to go. The Dudbridge 7 to go. But it's probably relying on this game going all the way. And if
86.
Mervyn King finds his
Mervyn
double
King,
18, he's going to
36.
have the darts to win the match in the next leg.
Hit the double 18. set yourself up for a 9, get the record and move on. 2-8.
20.
And now he could be
Charlie
behind.
O'Connor, 60.
Oh, how things can change.
How things can change so quickly. How Martin now looks at double top.
20.
But how he cannot
Moving
get
the car,
it. And they were
16.
well thrown darts as well. Nothing he can really begrudge about them couple of efforts. But he may be begrudging the king if he can whirl his way in front.
Look at the angle he's got to throw this from.
Game shot on the 5th
But
leg.
there is no
Moving
angle
kick.
he doesn't know about.
6th leg moving to through first.
The difference in the averages in this game,
Game on.
and it's still quite tight at 3-2 to king. There's more than 20 points between them. 97 king, 76 Martin.
93.
What did we talk about last night, Henry? Your bad game has got to be low 80s at this place. If you're going to succeed, you can't afford to have averages starting with a 7.
134.
And I think this is the next step of Charlie Martin's development. I'll tell you what I'd like to see from Charlie. And look, it's easier said than done when we poke these things out in thin air. But I'd love to see how he deals with a Group A
95.
campaign if he was given one. Because I think he'd be the type of player that would benefit from the process of playing 5 days. I think we'd learn a lot from him from doing that. We saw it from Adam Lipscomb, didn't we? Around about this time
100.
last year. Played a Group A. And we really did see him improve in front of our eyes over the space of a week.
I don't know about you, but I see a lot of similarities
137.
between Charlie and Ryan Finesse. Possibilities are there. Talent is there. Composure is
97.
definitely there. But everybody's story is different. What is stopping them from taking that next step?
48.
Maybe
Charlie
nothing.
O'Connor, 170.
Well, this to take us the distance, but Charlie Martin is not going to reel in the big fish.
94. Moving the car,
If
128.
Mervyn finds this, and trust me, he knows a thing or two about fishing, it will be his.
$88.
He got 2 of the 3
Charlie
as well.
O'Connor, 76.
This has to go. There goes that. He didn't want to believe that he'd missed the 16, but this game doesn't need VAR.
36. Moving the car,
It was
40.
never there.
And so tops of the match. And this to put Mervyn King into 7 heaven. Double top. Double 10. 5. Last start in hand.
35.
Not found.
Charlie O'Connor, 40.
Well, Mervyn King has played every leg possible tonight, and that trend could continue if Charlie Martin finds this tops.
I'd like to say that Mervyn's getting his money's worth, but you don't want to play every leg. I have no idea what happened there.
30. Mervyn
What has
O'Connor,
happened is
5.
Mervyn comes back for 5.
If Charlie Martin was in a rage room, he'd probably take umbrage at that double 10. But Mervyn King here, look at a double 2. Now the madhouse.
No score.
Underneath, and so
O'Connor,
we
10.
have an opportunity here to go the distance once more if Charlie Martin can find this double 5.
Five.
Meanwhile, in the
Mervyn
Super
O'Connor,
Series
5.
Rage room, Charlie Martin is still going in there with a rampage. And I don't blame him.
He's ironic because he's the most mild-mannered man, but he may be a bit disappointed in a couple of seconds' time.
No score.
But Mervyn King
Charlie
cannot
O'Connor,
finish
5.
this off. Double 2.
Getting
3-3.
shot on the
We
sixth
go
leg. Charlie
all the
Martin.
way. Look at that Mervyn chuckle.
7 and
They
5
both
leg,
know
Charlie
that
to
that
through
leg's one
first.
they will have
Game
put
on.
behind them, but Charlie Martin's able to take us all the way. I cannot see Charlie Martin as a rage room kind of guy.
everybody's a Rage Room kind of person.
42.
They just don't know it. Who's the right person from Super Series history to put in a Rage Room? Conan Whitehead.
85.
And Aaron Monk.
$34.
Mike Gillett, I cannot see in a Rage Room.
Not at all.
If anything, he'd apologise to the bat.
He would clean it.
60.
Aaron Monk, if you gave him a sledgehammer or a baseball bat, he'd do up his shirt and he'd say, well, everybody, you're about to see something really special.
Well, I would say we'd put
43.
Owen Binks in a Rage Room, but nothing would change. It'd be like any other normal room.
$100. $100.
Still can't separate these guys. It's only half a dot between them. But when we get to the end of this leg, there are no guarantees.
100.
11 darts missed at a double in this match for Charlie, and 14 for Mervyn. That's a good visit.
119. Mubdakar 156.
But it isn't good enough. He's done exactly what Scott Baker did earlier. He hit a 57 when he needed a 60.
134.
And King has left himself on double 11 to wrap the job up by hitting those couple of treble 19s. The scoring's been amazing. 5 180s in the match. But all of them came in the first 4 legs or so.
131. Mubdakar 22.
And Charlie had a 171. But it's double 11 for the victory for King. Is he still undefeated?
Getting shot on the
Yes,
match.
he
Mervyn King.
is. It's win number 7. It's heaven for Mervyn King. 14 points to his name, and he'll have an opportunity against James Richardson to join the 16-point club. He's beaten Charlie Martin. And the last leg decided hitting 5 180s en route. There was a scrappy leg in leg 6, which Martin claimed. Mervyn wins for 3. James Richardson against Max de Jong follows next. Are you ready to lift that trophy, Darius? Yes. Let's do it then. Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series 9 champion is Lucky D, Darius Labanowski!
Well, what a wonderful night of darts we have seen, and we are ready. Our champion is ready, and it's trophy time. So receive the trophy. £25,000.
The new Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And one more time, the 8th Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And the new Modus Super Series champion is Andreas Dirty Harrison. And one more time, the 7th Modus Super Series champion. Give it up for Andreas Dirty Harrison!
The moment we've all been waiting for. Would you please show your appreciation for your Series 6 Modus Super Series champion, Scott Taylor!
One more time, your new Modus Super Series champion. He is Chucky. He is Jim McEwen.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series champion, retaining his title, the Nuke, Luke Littler! Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where if you have just joined us, well, get your cup of Horlicks ready because we've got quite the late night finale for you because there's still 4 more games to go here on this Friday evening. Game 6 saw Mervyn King beat Charlie Martin 4-3. In matter of fact, of these 6 games we've seen this evening, 4 of them are gone by 4-3 scorelines, including each of the last 3. So Game 7 sees James Richardson and Max de Jong go head-to-head. And if James wins this one, then it is all done. King on 14 points was through at the beginning of the night. Charlie Martin was through at the middle of the night. And James Richardson at the end of the night would also see himself into the finale. And the winner of the night will be described in the company of Paul Nicholson. And he'll be darting until the morning light, talking about all of the action in this Group B.
Keep talking like that, I'm going to be darting on the ceiling.
Oh, what a feeling.
99.
That's a darts anthem, that, you know. They play it at the PDC Majors, especially the World Championship. And if you've been to Alexandra Palace,
31.
you know that you haven't lived until you've been there with 3,500 crazy darts fans at Christmas time, listening to Lionel Richie sing Dancing on the Ceiling. It is a great thing.
78.
Well, James Richardson will be hoping to say hello to tomorrow night. That's what he's been looking for ever since he set foot in this building yesterday. And you should have seen the look on Paul Nicholson's face just there. It's been a long week, Nico. It's been a long week, I know.
You've somehow gone from Ministry of Sound to Lionel Richie.
100.
You're a man of many talents, Deacon. If Richardson does win this game, though, we are starting to collect England
93.
international players
in
Saturday night. He would be the 3rd.
43.
And there are more internationals next week.
Well, Tony Morris himself, a former England international.
And Tom Sykes.
He's making his England debut the weekend. He's going to be travelling from Skeggy on Sunday night to Pompey for Monday morning. And if I remember rightly, the presentation for that, and remember, all players are going to be present for the presentation if England win, is not until 8 o'clock in the evening.
This one should be in.
Game show the first
because
leg,
the guide was so delicious. And Max de Jong is going to have to win this game. He's going to have to beat Scott Baker. And he's going to be hoping for a Mervyn King win against James Richardson as well. That's his route to glory.
57.
If I were to place odds on that happening, I'd have to say about 9-2 at the minute.
140.
James played his best darts in his second half of play last night. I get the feeling he's ready to do just that again. So Max is going to have to find his best darts of the week,
95.
potentially.
I just had a look at this. So, if Tom Sykes was to play all the way to the end for England on Sunday, it's 4 hours, 20 minutes from the venue in Skegness to this venue here in Portsmouth. So, if he has to stay there till the presentation is 8 o'clock, if he left straight away, the earliest he gets here is 12:30 at night, and he plays in Group A on the Monday morning.
140.
Welcome to modern day darts. We've all been there.
60. $140. James Coward and 21.
Richardson 121 to level up at 1 apiece. It's the bullseye. It's not there. And so De Jong looking at 69.
Max 69.
Max has got to get cracking now. That'll do it.
Showing the second leg, Max De Jong.
It's another 14 darter for Max. He hasn't been short on those this evening.
Like James to throw
particularly on
first.
throw.
Game on. $85.
Just when you think we've figured this table out, Max starts doing this kind of stuff.
32. $58.
At this stage, we've got 5 names in Saturday night. Do you think one of those 5 names is going to win it?
30.
Because it is Saturday, and welcome to the weekend, everyone.
Yes. Is the short answer?
Yes, it is a short answer.
96.
Care to elaborate?
Well, I think one of them 5 players wins.
It's like getting orange juice from a stone.
99.
Okay, we'll talk about it on Saturday night from 7:30 live on Pluto TV.
That's all right, because I'm asking the questions anyway.
Yes, you will be.
54.
You got royalty in the commentary box tomorrow night. Refereeing royalty and Jack Garwood.
And we're going to have a really interesting audience.
180.
It's not just darts fans coming on Saturday night, but dart players are coming.
$43.
That's a bad deflection. That has cost James Richardson potentially a chance to win this leg.
$45.
However, he might just have been let off the hook.
$95.
If Max takes this out, what he did previously will mean nothing. But if he doesn't take this out, we'll never know just how comfortable he could have been after leg 3. Double top.
Game shown the third leg.
That 45 meant nothing. It's 3-0. Which means, you guessed it,
Game on.
James is going to win the next 3 legs. Maybe Max is not going to let that happen. Or will the real Max de Jong please stand up?
Well, Mad Max is showing some fury now, isn't he?
140.
And suddenly here, Richardson's getting penned back in.
He gave us the one eyebrow.
90.
Cool as a cucumber.
400 defeat here could be close to disaster for James Richardson too, because Matt de Jong's last game is against Scott
55.
Baker, who tonight has shown some signs of frailties. And Richardson takes on Mervyn King, who looks as if he is making life very difficult, but yet still winning matches.
James is not playing to the same levels as last night. That cannot be denied.
41.
He's not finding that
Mashika,
next
97.
step like he did on Thursday evening.
For a comprehensive 4-0 win.
57.
Come back for tops upon his return. This is a good performance from Max. 97 average, 3 from 4 on the doubles. There's a lot to admire about this.
You're right, there is. And there's only one more thing to do.
Mashika, 40.
He wants to do it right now, before there's any doubt.
And what a guide he's got. And what a win that is for Max de Jong. And once again, that's a 14 dart on throw. That's the 4th time that that's happened to him tonight. With the darts in his hand, he's been very good, and you'll have the darts in his hand against Scott Baker. And that defeat, and the margin defeat for James Richardson, could well be costly. But that could well be what lights up the spark, the fuse, the blue touch paper for Max de Jong. A 4-0 victory against James Richardson. Coming up after the break, we're going to be watching Scott Baker in action as he takes on Charlie Martin.
$54. Charlie McGuire, 164. $44. $32. Charlie required 120.
Well, 120. He's got a fair, at least 2 handfuls at this. Just needs to stay
60.
there. That's a good shot. Halves his score. Leaves himself on a 2-darter.
$26. Charlie
Time on his
required
side
60.
to become back-to-back singles champion.
$40.
Definitely a couple of nerves in those last 2 darts. But he'll be coming back.
It's a moment he's been in before this situation. Standing at the back of the stage,
Charlie
approaching the
required
hockey with a
20.
chance to win the title.
He did this to win the first title, if you remember.
11.
I think he's gone.
Georgia
I think he's gone to bust it, maybe. The first title he wanted 20. He went 6-7-7 to win it. He had a chance to replicate it again.
Yeah, I get the feeling that was for a bust, and
39.
on that situation there, George Scaife wasn't even
9.
able to take it out going to the 18s on that switch.
Yeah, I think he just panicked a bit, but he's done well to get that big one.
Sometimes can be the hardest part.
Georgia requires
This is it.
79.
It's got to be 19s. It's got to be 19s for this shot. Big 20 and a double. He's got the first one. He's going to get a match dart here.
$59. Charlie
Threw the entire
required
body into that
8.
one. Just didn't want to let go of the dart.
No score.
He's giving George a chance.
Georgia require 20.
I think George has been quite good on double 10 today.
So many opportunities for Charlie Murphy.
Go!
Couldn't get the job
it.
done.
Got in the match! And the Red Dragon
George
Modus
Scaife.
Super Series Influencers Champion, George Scaife!
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series live here on Pluto TV, exclusive in the United Kingdom and across associated territories. Before the break, Max de Jong got the better of James Richardson by 4-0. Match number 8 sees Scott Baker take on Charlie Martin. Any win for Charlie, and he is confirmed in second position, and that would also eliminate Scott Baker from the mix. So an intriguing game up in the offing here, and if the truth be told, if both players play to type, would you side with Charlie Martin, or do you feel like Scott Baker at some point is going to pick up a victory on this Friday?
My juices are telling me that Scott Baker is not quite at the races this week, but he's got 2 games to put it right.
100.
His leg difference of -7 all of a sudden isn't that bad because of what's just happened between James Richardson and Max de Jong. De Jong has just done him a monstrous favour. So this is what's going to happen if Baker's going to squeeze
100.
through. Baker has to win this game. He needs King to beat Richardson next, and then
42.
he needs to beat Max de Jong. Margins, obviously, will come into it
97.
if those are the results that are found.
$121.
Scott's got to 3 legs in both of his games this evening. Lost out 4-3 to James Richardson, lost out 4-3 to Mervyn King. He's been competitive in every game he's played on. In fact, averaged just under 8-6 in his game against Mervyn. Maybe just timing in the key spots has been a little bit off. 50% on his doubles in
58.
both his games. So maybe the scoring in comparison to his opponents hasn't quite been there. But he's looking at a 1-4-4 here to take a 1-0 lead in the
58.
contest.
Leaving
Leaving himself on a 2-darter unless Martin can take at the 140. He's got a history of doing that on this stage because he did so at one of the 2 ADC majors we had here at the end of last year. Playing in the Tour Championship and playing in the Global Championship.
86.
Gets a shot of the ball.
61. Charlie O'Carr,
But not many people
95.
have been hitting the ball in this group. Charlie doesn't get a shot at any double.
55. Scott O'Carr, 25.
Double 8.
9.
Too many
Charlie
times
O'Carr,
that has
40.
happened. Baker's percentage over the last couple of nights is nowhere near what he wanted it to be.
Game show the first
And he
leg,
doesn't
Charlie
return this
Martin.
time. At this stage, we do not
Second leg,
know
Charlie to throw
how
first.
costly that
Game
is.
on.
Did you just go down the route of saying ADC major?
140.
Very slippery slope, Deacon. Tread carefully.
Ah, yes, that favourite part of the year
95.
where we discuss what is a major, what isn't a major, what constitutes the theatrics of a major, or shall we just not remember the whole thing and just move on with the next leg of this match?
Trust me, the question of what
81.
constitutes the theatrics of a major, that has never been asked.
68.
That's like asking which Beethoven symphony is most like the World Match Play.
54. $135.
We can ask the question, how many movies has Scott Baker ever seen? And it's 1. Quadrophenia.
100.
Starring
Timothy
99.
Colton, I
Charlie
don't
O'Carr,
know.
126.
Oh, just give me that spade. You're going to need a ladder in a second. Just look it
86.
up.
Scott
It's
O'Carr,
definitely not Timothy
104.
Dalton. Now, Charlie Martin can extend his lead here.
56. Charlie O'Carr, 40.
If he eats his way into this game, Baker might not have a way out.
Game shot in the second leg, Charlie
And he
Martin.
finds it as well.
Ray Winston was
Third
in
leg, Scott to throw
Quadrophenia.
first. Game on.
Correctamundo.
Phil Daniels, The Sting.
It's just Sting.
97.
That's the first time he's ever been called the Sting. Here's one about Sting. He's a Geordie. Do you know that?
I did not know
100.
He used to be a music teacher at Cramlington, a school in Cramlington in Northumberland called Stonelaw Middle School.
81.
That was before he was in the police and a solo artist, before he moved to New York City.
125.
Yeah, but Sting is the most well-known person from that movie.
1979 it was released, so a year after Grease.
79 was a great year.
83.
One of the biggest musical acts in 1979, apart from Simon and Garfunkel, was Dr. Hook. They were fun.
25.
It was a great FA Cup final that year as well.
Indeed.
38.
Which is the source of one of my favourite ever questions.
Which is?
Sunderland did it in 79. Villa did it in 81. Who did it in 80?
Was it Villa?
99. Scott McCall,
Villa
58.
did it in 81. So who did it in 80? Sunderland did it in 79. As Baker looks at tops.
Games
Baker
on
gets
the
tops
third
to bring
leg,
it back
Scott
to 2-1.
Baker.
I feel like I should know this.
Fourth leg, Charlie to through first. Game on.
Man United?
Booking.
Oh, it was
Because
West Ham, wasn't it? Yeah, that's right.
Alan Sunderland
97.
scored the winning goal for Arsenal in 79. Trevor Brooking scored the winning goal for West Ham in 1980. And in the
43.
replay, Ricky Villa scored the winning goal for Tottenham. And here's a fun fact for you. You can take this all the way to your next pub quiz. West Ham were the last
140.
second division team to win the cup back in 1980.
140.
Cardiff the last second tier side to make the final. I won't tell you who they lost to.
128.
You might not want to bring that up when Barry Bates is around. He's a very, very passionate Cardiff City fan.
100.
Scott Baker's
Charlie
passion in
Coward,
this game
36.
is palpable, and he might have to win the last 3 legs.
96.
His elimination is drawing near.
100. Charlie McCall, 40.
How near is it? 555 again. Spent a lot of time here tonight.
Game shot on the fourth leg, Charlie Martin.
But predominantly, he has been quite good at it. So it's going to have to be all 3 legs
Fifth
from
leg
here
Scott
for
to third
Baker.
first.
Otherwise,
Game on.
he is done.
Baker could be
100.
brown bread before too long.
One of them, 40.
At least he's not going to get bailed in this match.
You got any more?
100.
No, they're just my bread and butter jokes. These are not on the hash browns.
Yeah, don't
60.
go down the same road as buttering your hash brown again. That got everybody's nose twisted earlier.
60.
I think Scott Baker is starting to make peace with this situation, actually. He's going to fight until the death here. But the thing is,
58.
this entire group campaign for him has been tough. He's had very little levity. He's only got 2
100.
points, and they came in his first game against Max de Jong. Since then, it's been a real grind. And if I may say so,
85.
for him it's
Shot the car,
a bit like
141.
getting on his scooter and trying to go uphill in 5th gear.
109. Charlie car,
Well, Baker's left
158.
himself on double 16 to return the game back to 3-2. Martin 158 to win the match. And that would have sent Scott Baker packing. He's going to leave himself in a
100.
decent position
Scott the car,
if Baker
32.
bodges 3 more at double 16. This has been a tie he's been fairly good at, and he finds it again there. And Charlie Martin will be forced to serve this match out.
6-leg Charlie to throw first. Game on.
From this position, it would be some escape.
40.
Just to win this match, never mind get through to the top 3. He currently occupies the bottom spot, and we are playing the 18th game of this group. The fact that he's bottom and he still has a chance is nearly miraculous.
47.
Scott Baker has to dig in.
60.
Got no other option from this point.
$140. $140. $83. Scott the car 161.
So 6 starts here from 161 for Scott Baker to take us all the way to a last leg decider. He's not going to get on this particular occasion, but what he is going to do is do the next best task and set himself up for tops upon his return, doing so after just a dozen darts on the Charlie Martin throws. If he can win this leg, he will have the throw in the last to keep his floating hopes of flickering, and that's a 14 darter, and that is a last leg decider.
7th and final leg, Scott to throw first. Game on.
Well, on the weekend where they're playing the British Internationals in Skegness, you referenced that with Tom Sykes earlier. This is a week where former
100.
internationals are trying to make their way to Saturday. Mervyn King, former England international, is there. Jamie Atkins, former England international,
71.
is there. Scott Baker, former England international, still scrapping.
140.
And unlike the British internationals, we can't have a draw in this match. But if Scott Baker can win it, coupled with any win for Mervyn King in Game 9, would see James Richardson eliminated. And Baker against de Jong would be a straight shootout in match number 10.
22.
So it all boils down to this. Is that your way of saying that if Baker wins this leg, he becomes a Mervert?
Oh, yes. I was waiting all week for that reference.
100. $60. Scott the car 139.
Brilliant. Needs 82 more. That's an exceptional visit. But how good could this be? This would be crushing.
Well, this would be it for Scott Baker, but the 170s are going to go, and so the mod's going to come back. 3 more in hand at double 4. He should have won this game yesterday, if you remember rightly, Scott Baker. He has an opportunity to right that wrong here and to keep himself at least in the mix. Double 2.
4.
Not to be.
That could be catastrophic. Tops for Charlie.
Getting shot in the match,
and that is Scott Baker out. That's Charlie Martin on to 10 points in this group. And it means that we'll go down to Game 9 to see what happens between Richardson and King. For Charlie Martin, well, his job was completed midway through the night, but he has ended the chances of Scott Baker there. That's the turn of the tape from that match. And Scott Baker's now the first player to be eliminated from this group. And coming up next is Mervyn King up against James Richardson. Welcome back to the Modus Super Series. Before the break, Charlie Martin got the better of Scott Baker by 4 legs to 3, averaging 86.82 for Baker. 3 games, 3 full 3 defeats. Unfortunately for him, it's not going to be a Saturday night here at the Live Lounge, but he certainly made a case for himself this evening, even if things haven't quite gone to plan. So, 2 more games to go. James Richardson, simply put, is through here with a win. If he does, then we know the final 6 with a game to spare. Meanwhile, for Mervyn King in this particular match, if he can claim the 2 points, then he will join a illustrious list of players that have picked up the full quota, the full set. 16 points from 16 games here. Well, 16 points, sorry, from 8 games here. The full set of results from a Group B campaign. And it would mean it will go down to the last match of the group to decide the final spot through. And a win for Max de Jong would then knock James Richardson out of the running. And it would be the Dutchman somehow that would have qualified through to the finale.
57.
We've got a race in our hands, which perhaps about 40 minutes ago we didn't expect would be on our hands.
With 2 people through, King and Charlie Martin, the last space
92
into Saturday night, and bearing in mind that's in about 19 hours' time, it could be crucial.
100.
Because if you look at not 24 hours ago, look at a week ago. Look at what was happening in Group B. The last person through was Devin Peterson, and he would go on to win on the
59.
Saturday night. So don't think that this last spot that's available is just to make up the numbers. It isn't. It's to finalise the last potential winner.
How key head-to-heads can be. Well, we found out, haven't we, with so many different examples over the last 2.5 years or so here at the Super Series. King's left himself on the fish after 12. What can Richardson do here from the 209?
Quite a lot as it happens.
133. Mubukar 170.
Now then, can the King reel in the fish? Not on this occasion, and so Richardson will return looking at 76 to get the break. Remember,
42.
A must-win game, and a game which he needs to find a break at some point. So, no better time of getting it than in the very first leg of the contest. It's double top.
56.
It's not there.
Mubukar 128.
It really isn't. He's missed that top bed a few times, quite low. Is he going to stay? Nah, he's going to go.
88. Change
I think
car,
wisely.
20.
I'm sure the lie on that 54 wasn't ideal for him.
Game
That's
shot
ideal.
The first leg, James Richardson.
The only other time that is good to get a break of throw for the first time is the last leg.
First. Game on.
Because that means you've won the match.
And some people decide to give the darts away
100.
when they get the opportunity to do so.
Well, they are the people who are either moving to a new set or do constantly rotate the sets that they have.
$60.
How excited are you to have Jimmy Van Schie back next week?
How can you not be? However, we may need to
100.
make sure that there's warnings on the doors in terms of warning, do not bang your head on this.
55.
Why is it that Jimmy Van Schie and Tom Sykes seem to be on a collision course all the time? I think it could be a really feisty first 3 days in Group A next week with Brian Rahman here, with David Davies, with Andy Davidson.
83. Mubukar
If you'd have had that group 2
121.
years ago, you would have said, yeah, it's all right. Now, it's more than all right.
Evolution.
Another song by
89.
Motorhead.
Well, look at this Champions Week, for example. How much opportunity there is because there's new forces beginning to emerge here at the Super Series.
95. Moving to car 32.
People that have dropped off top, but people that have come through the system and have then come to prominence. Tom Sykes probably the best example of that, as King looks at 32. King gets 32, and that's a 14 darter to level back up.
Third leg moving to through first. Game on.
So you would have Tom Sykes slightly ahead in progression than Jimmy Van Ski. Is that what you're saying? Because I think it's really close.
97.
Pass. I think Tom Sykes, in the fact of the first time we saw him, I know where you're coming from because Jimmy did a fairly similar thing, but I suppose because Tom Sykes has done better in terms of the fact he's made 2 finals maybe, but it's a very, very tough call between the pair. And yes, I am going to get off this fence.
92.
Well, apparently he's got off the fence and disappeared.
36.
Bit like Humpty Dumpty.
Bit cool worse.
98.
How much do you think Mervyn really wants the 16 points? Because we know that Steve West really wanted
100.
the 20 in Group C. He ended up with 16.
I don't know how aware Mervyn is of the records in this place. He said at the start of the week that he's watched a bit of it. He kind of knows the ins and outs, but I don't know whether he'd be 100% tapped in on the all-time records.
He won't know. Trust me.
60.
He doesn't watch a lot of darts when he's at home. He's too busy spending time with his wife, his dogs. He detaches from the game when he's not at it.
60.
And how important balance is as well. Perhaps the most important thing that a dart player has to find.
60.
You need a support network.
76.
Both of these guys have it.
But has Mervyn King got a 2-1 lead in this match? Well, he's going to get a dart at double 4 here.
68.
He's not going to get it, but he has got time on his side.
Yeah, sensible play there from James. The ball is no longer in play right now. You'll be hoping that the ball is not in play. The only way it is if he drifts left. Okay, just go for 2 of those.
Game shot.
That'll do.
Third leg, James Richardson.
And that could be the moment which really changes things in the direction of James Richardson, as we get a Mervyn King really moment.
That was very, very brave, James.
81.
Now we're about to find out what it's like to poke the wolf.
And this is a James Richardson ploy of, well, we just play aggressively. It's just the way he plays. There's no malice behind it. He goes for his shots.
Of course there isn't any malice. He hasn't got a malicious bone in his body. But it does remind me of a fascinating situation. It was about 20 years ago. James Wade is playing Kevin Painter at the World Match Play. James has got 80 left. He goes tops, tops. Painter is seething. Years later at the seniors, Kevin Painter's got 80 left and he goes tops, tops. It's amazing how time is a healer. That'll cure what ails you. And ironically, he's left himself with 57 tops, tops. But if he goes 19s first,
83.
He's more likely to go treble 16 double.
Because for him, anything to leave that particular double is something he's going to do. But he's not going to execute. That was Mervyn King's first max of the match there in that period. He had 5 of them in his game against Charlie Martin.
He thought that was in, you know. He thought that was in the 48. It's a good job he checked it.
83. Change your car, 167.
So Richardson looking at 167 to open up a 3-1 lead. But remember, Mervyn King has played every single leg available to him tonight.
57.
Him and Scott Baker have both done that.
54.
Getting his money's worth. Double top. Just the one.
Game shot.
That'll work. 2-2.
Mervyn King.
And he's on a crusade again to find a
Just like
7-leg
Mervyn, you're through
game.
first.
That's
Game
what
on.
Richard the Lionheart was doing about 900 years ago. He was on a crusade, wasn't he? He's a pretty famous king.
And I bet he never stopped talking about it since. Oh, wrong Richard the Lionheart.
139.
I'm going to say he's been dead for about 850 years.
$100.
Do you know who played him in a very famous movie?
93.
Sean Connery.
$100.
You know who his niece was? Very famous niece of Richard the Lionheart. Actually, I think they were distant cousins. I do beg your pardon. The maid Marion
78.
from Robin Hood.
$60.
I wonder if that's going to lead to a Robin Hood on the board. I sincerely hope not for these players. That's the last thing they need.
$137.
King's just beginning to turn the screw here. Just beginning to find an extra little bit of quality in a game which, for the first couple of legs, I think it's fair to say
60.
was a little
Moving
bit
down,
on the
54.
scrappier side. 54 points away from a 3-2 lead. It's double top. It's a good guide.
34.
But he cannot utilise it, but he has got time to his aid.
James is not finding that next level
83.
again.
Moving car, 20.
He struggled in game 7, didn't get a leg against Max. He
Game
might
shot
be
fifth
on the
flag,
cusp
Mervyn King.
of losing again. And that would leave him firmly on the
Six flag,
chopping
James, you're through
block.
first. Game on.
If he loses this leg or the next, Richardson will need 5th placed Baker
140.
to beat Max de Jong. Otherwise, Richardson will go home.
$140.
I don't know if you've noticed this, Henry, but at this point last night, King was struggling. He doesn't look like he's struggling tonight.
45.
He looks so much more comfortable. More focused as well. And because he's definitely coming back on Saturday night,
85.
he will be uniquely qualified and equipped to play evening darts come later today.
55.
What is it Steve West said earlier on yesterday? There are scores to settle. He did talk about Jamie Atkins, but
59.
he said scores. Plural.
Oh, Jamie Atkins was definitely somebody that he was looking at getting vengeance over. He singled him out.
97.
But Mervyn will be somebody. If Max gets through, that was a crucial game that went against Steve West. Was it you were saying about Lennox Lewis earlier? You want to beat everybody that you play
99.
up against. That's exactly what you want to do.
Absolutely right.
164.
Not many people can say they've done that in any sport. Now, Mervyn here
64.
is going to do
Moving the car
something
118.
that you shouldn't. Told you. He believes it's the right way to
Change the
go.
car 100.
9 out of 10 people would disagree.
Well, this is his week. All on the line in this present moment. Oh, not another tops. Not another
Gains from the sixth leg,
tops.
James Richardson.
That will be a sickener for Mervyn King. It's reciprocated as they go all the way.
Semi-final leg,
Mervyn
Mervyn
sees the
through
funny
first.
side.
Game
But
on.
what a shot that is to keep yourself in it.
Anybody for a hat trick? Let us just marvel in the fact that he hit that from the angle as well.
100.
That was not down the middle. That was from the right-hand side.
96.
You ever seen anybody do it 3 times in a game? I don't think I have.
Not over this course. Maybe in a longer distance game. Maybe like a match play 1st to 17.
60.
There's a potential, but not over this course.
The last match play was won on tops by Luke Humphreys.
What a final it was against Michael Van Gerwen. The pilgrimage back to Blackpool will resume in July, but
82.
is James Richardson going to have a pilgrimage back to Portsmouth on a Saturday?
Yeah, Mervyn's been to the semi-finals at the match play.
177.
Still plenty to give. He's now checked every box
99.
in his
Moving the car
scoring power pack.
164.
That's his first 170-plus visit. He's got one of everything now. Apart from a ton-plus finish. He's gone next door again.
54.
Well, look on the bright side, Merv. You can still get a ton-plus finish.
But Richardson's been given a little bit of an olive branch, and that
140.
2 trouble turn has
110.
left him on a 2-darter.
Well, if Merv misses this, the only way to go is single 4 tops.
Triple 18. For the double. For the card. For 16
match,
points
Mervyn
and
King.
16. A sweet Group B for Mervyn King. And for James Richardson, well, he is going to have to sit and hope that Scott Baker does him a favour. Mervyn King with a 4-3 win. Every single game he's played tonight, he has won by that margin. He does like to sometimes make life hard work for himself, but he's certainly got his worth in terms of legs. He's beaten James Richardson by 4 legs to 3. Coming up after the break, the final game sees Max de Jong take on Scott Baker. Are you ready to lift that trophy, Darius? Yes. Let's do it then. Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series 9 champion is Lucky D, Darius Labanowski!
Well, what a wonderful night of darts we have seen, and we are ready. Our champion is ready, and it's trophy time. So receive the trophy. £25,000.
The new Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. And one more time, the 8th Modus Super Series champion, the Terminator, Marvin Van Velzen. one more time, the 7th Modus Super Series champion. Give it up for Andreas Dirty Harrison!
The moment we've all been waiting for. Would you please show your appreciation for your Series 6 Modus Super Series champion, Scott Taylor!
One more time, your new Modus Super Series champion. He is Chucky. He is Jim McEwen.
Ladies and gentlemen, your Modus Super Series champion, retaining his title, the Nuke, Luke Littler! Welcome back to the Modus Super Series. We've got Mervyn King with us. 8 wins from 8 in this Group B. You won every single match tonight by a 4-3 scoreline. What would be your overall assessment of the evening?
I got lucky, to be fair. That's the way it goes. I played bad and I got away with it.
Was it one of those nights where you had to really take advantage of your opponents, perhaps missing at times, and your timing being well on the pace?
Maybe. I've had one day where I played well, and that was Monday. Everything else has been hard fought.
Can you put your finger as to why?
If I knew that, I'd bottle it and sell it, and I'd be a multi-millionaire. I've no idea. It's just the way it goes sometimes. Maybe trying too hard. I don't know.
But I suppose the good thing for you is the fact you're into Saturday now, and I suppose you've got an opportunity to try and find a way of getting through the Saturday scenario.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're all striving for, to get there and play on the Saturday. So, we're there. We'll give it a go. If it's good enough, it's good enough. If it isn't, I'll be back again later in the year to have another bash.
And I suppose it'd be a different setup, different scenario as well. The room's going to be completely different because there's going to be people in the audience.
Yeah, I found it very strange playing in there with no audience, and it's the MC is very loud. I'm sort of getting used to it now, but now we've got to go back to having an audience.
Just finally, I'm not sure how aware you are of this, but you one now of a handful of players who have picked up maximum points from a Group B campaign. Bo Greaves, perhaps up there amongst those to have done it. So you put yourself in a very illustrious club on your debut here.
No idea. Absolutely no idea. Don't take any notice of that whatsoever. I just try and win.
And win you did tonight. Mervyn, congratulations. We'll see you tomorrow.
Lovely. Thank you.
Always nice to hear from the King. We've heard from him last night and tonight because he has not lost a match. He doesn't really bother looking at records and stats. That's just Mervyn. But he has joined the likes of Derek Coulson and, of course, Bo Greaves and others in the past who have won all of their games when it comes to a two-nightly scenario.
Game on.
But there's still one more name to put in the hat for Saturday. It could be Max de Jong. It's very, very simple. Max in 4th position in the table right now.
60.
If he beats Scott Baker, he will have 6 points and a better leg difference than that of James
45.
Richardson, who is now hanging by a thread. But if Scott Baker wins in this game, he could even jump Max de Jong to 4th
96.
and keep the Dutchman away from Saturday for a first time.
140.
We were talking a little
60.
bit earlier tonight about the fact that Mervyn King has won all 4 games, all 4-3.
46.
Scott Baker has lost all of his games 4-3.
96. $45.
You just wonder if Scott Baker's got anything left. These kind of nights, they take so much out of you. You fight so hard. You've been to the last leg decider 3 times already and lost every time.
58.
Your confidence will be dented. And the knowledge that he's not coming back later on today,
70.
that will sap your energy in seconds.
All about doing a professional job, isn't it, for Scott Baker in this particular suit?
91.
For De Jong, it's about getting the job done. Maybe at points tonight, he may not have expected to
85.
have found himself in this position. He would have been hopeful, of course, but expected? Well, there was points tonight where it looked like maybe the top 3 were going to be the top 3. But you've got to give credit to this Dutchman.
We'll give him credit for that. First one down, he needs 3 more.
Scott to throw first, game on. $140.
This could be a parting shot for Scott. We've already seen today from a Welshman in Michael Huntley how well he played in his last day here this week. He gave genuinely everything he had, and he just came up short.
100.
But it happens every week.
It's just the way that this tournament and this format works.
85.
There's always that player that maybe emerges from the pack later on. There's always a player that you think at the beginning of the week, something could happen here, something could fall.
45.
And then it turns out that the week can just head in towards the rust and the crust of it.
If you can just get to Saturday, you can have a
45.
chance. Some people don't have a problem when it comes to making Saturdays. As
94.
for others, it takes them a long time. Look at Adam Lipscomb. His ambition, as little as 18 months ago, I just want to make a Saturday in Portsmouth.
65.
It took him a long time.
22.
Now he's a tour card holder. Just making a Saturday can open up stuff.
90.
He's left himself on double 16 upon his return to level the scoreline up here at 1 apiece.
40. Scott the car 32.
So 32 for Baker to level up at
Game
1-1,
shot on the
and it
second
goes
leg. Scott Baker.
right in the centre of the target, and we have a level match at 1 apiece.
Third leg match to through first, game on.
Have you ever looked at Scott Baker's shirt in detail? Did you think that was him on the scooter on the front of the shirt?
80.
In the circle. It's always a bit obscured because of his left arm. Trust me, it's not him.
137.
I think that's Phil Daniels.
And not Timothy Dalton.
It's definitely not Timothy Dalton.
100.
I mean, it was released 21 years before I was born. Sorry, 23 years before I was born.
A lot of things were released 23 years before you were born. But you knew all about the FA Cup finals.
140.
Yeah, but that's a specialised subject.
There it is. That is definitely Phil Daniels. Is he more famous for Quadrophenia or Park Life with Blur?
Now that is a music video. Even as an Oasis fan, I could acknowledge that as a music video.
47.
Wasn't Blur's best. If you like Blur, the best videos that they did were Country House
101. Max your car 134.
and the Universal.
Baker Baker looking at 106 to get the breaker throw and to open up a 2-1 lead. And then Max de Jong would just be a couple of legs away from the Tuxton tightrope, and James Richardson could be a couple of legs away from a reprieve. Big moment, big dart.
86.
But he cannot find the double top.
As for where Max is going to go for this, your guess is as good as mine. 2 double 19s?
19.
Oh, Max, what have you done?
20. Getting shown the third
Well, it
leg,
didn't
Scott
matter,
Baker.
but it really is perplexing sometimes what goes through his head.
Fourth leg, Scott to throw first. Game on.
Baker 2-1 up. The first start double 19, okay,
100.
you can understand that, but it's the second one. Just find a target area. Don't need to persevere at things you don't need to persevere at.
Even hit a big 20 or a big 16. Leave yourself on single to double combination, just in case. And if this group has taught us anything, it's that nobody's across the line until they've hit a double.
100.
We've been talking about the potential for a very boisterous audience here on Saturday night. Can you imagine if James
100.
Richardson is still in? There'll be people making a beeline down the A3 motorway to Portsmouth from Northampton.
59.
And the A3 is a very busy bit of road. You said motorway then, but it's not, it's an A road. Hence the A in it.
140. 140.
Baker looking at 102 to open up a 3-1 lead in this contest. De Jong with that 140 though has left himself on 76. This for a 3-1 advantage.
87, Your Honour.
50. Max Car 76.
Well, is it going to be us going to the wire once again? Not the first time that Max has had 76.
$56. Scott Car 52.
Double 17 to leave double 10.
Getting shown
But
the
it's
fourth
irrelevant
leg, Scott
as Baker opens up a 3-1 lead.
If he's trying to distract Scott Baker, it's
Fifth
not
leg, Max to
working.
throw first. Game on.
I don't know if you're aware of this, Henry, but I subscribe to the fact that we have a crop of players these days that believe in going for distracting shots.
59.
Things like that double 17 to say to your opponent, well, why has he done that? But if you play the game the way that Scott does, he doesn't watch.
180.
And he's 321 points away from putting James Richardson into Saturday at Max's expense.
Well, Max de Jong's had a very good week. Improvement on
85.
last time. Finished in Group C, finished in Group B. I don't actually, you know what, looking back at the numbers
86.
for Scott Baker tonight, I don't think they're as bad as maybe what we did once make out. Lowest average 82.5, had an 85.92, an 87.39, averaging here in excess of 90.
60.
This has been better than day one, but he hasn't got results.
Results are what matters.
87.
But to make himself feel better, leaving with a win will do just that, because that's all he can have.
140. Scott Car 148.
So Scott Baker here looks at 148 to wrap it up once and for all, not to be on this particular occasion.
60. Max Car 157.
This would be something to save it. And Baker is looking to win this match either on double 14, the bullseye, or even double 7. Anything else would be a bit strange.
Scott Car 88.
Okay, don't listen to me. Listen to Tops.
68.
And ironically,
Mark your card,
it was James
24.
Richardson's shot that could have sent him out the tops. So De Jong is back to extend this game and to keep himself going. It would be a stay of execution. But it's one dart left in his hand at double six. Otherwise, Baker is back. Baker
18.
is back.
Got a card,
And he's
20.
back to win it. And he's back to send James Richardson through. And he
Shot of the
finds a
match.
double 10.
Scott Baker.
And he finds that elusive win. 2 wins for Scott Baker in this group. And they have both come against Max de Jong, the Dutchman, who has treated us to an exhibition of darting maverickness, I suppose, at times this week, but has not given us the treats of a Saturday night. James Richardson just about through because of Scott Baker's 4-1 win against Max de Jong. Reaction and analysis to come next.
Charlie McGuire, 164. 44. 32. Charlie required 120.
Well, 120. He's got a fair, at least 2 handfuls at this. Just needs to stay
60.
there. That's a good shot. Halves his score. Leaves himself on a 2-darter.
$26. Charlie
Time on his
required
side
60.
to become back-to-back singles champion.
$40.
Definitely a couple of nerves in those last 2 darts. But he'll be coming back.
The moment he's been in before this situation. Standing at the back of the
81.
stage,
Charlie
approaching the
required
Oki with a
20.
chance to win the title.
He did this to win the first title, if you remember.
11.
I think he's gone.
Georgia
I think he's gone to
180.
bust it, maybe. The first title he won, he wanted 20. He went 6-7-7 to win it. He had a chance to replicate it again.
Yeah, I get the feeling that was for a bust. And
39.
on that situation there, George
require
Gay wasn't even
9.
able to take it out going to the 18s on that switch.
Yeah, I think he just panicked a bit, but he's done well to get that big one.
Sometimes can be the hardest part.
Georgia requires
This is it.
79.
It's got to be 19s. It's got to be 19s for this shot. Big 20 and a double. He's got the first one. He's going to get a match dart here.
$59. Charlie
Threw the entire
required
body into that
8.
one. Just didn't want to let go of the dart.
No score.
He's given George a chance.
Georgia require 20.
I think George has been quite good on double 10 today.
So many opportunities for Charlie Murphy.
Go
Couldn't get the job
it.
done.
Got in the match! And the Red Dragon
George
Modus
Skate.
Super Series Influencers Champion, George Skate!
Welcome back to the Modus Super Series, where Friday's action has come to a close here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. Before the break, Scott Baker got the better of Max de Jong by 4 legs to 1. That was a result which sends James Richardson into tomorrow's finale. Elsewhere, Mervyn King won all 4 of his matches by a 4-3 scoreline. He's completed the card on both days, and this is how the table looks. King with a full set, 16 points, 8 wins from 8. Charlie Martin, well, he safely made his way through. The damage was really done at the beginning of the night on 10. And James Richardson sneaks through with just 6 points to his name. Scott Baker and Max de Jong head out. The asset Paul Nicholson is alongside me here to talk about everything that we have seen. Look, there's only one place to start. Mervyn King, not overly enamoured with the way that he played, but still 8 wins from 8.
I think he's got a point. I don't think he's played anywhere near his best, but he's just been able to win each game as it's come around. And if anything we've learnt from tonight from Mervyn is that he's able to dig deep when the games go long. He did look quite tired towards the end, but less tired than 24 hours ago, which says to me that his darting engine is being tested and he's coming out smelling of roses.
What did he do right, though, in those last leg deciders?
Timing. He was just getting off to decent starts, putting his opponent under pressure, and he was able to get a lot of chances when it came to last leg deciders. If you're getting chances and taking them, it means that your opponent's not doing enough to take you out.
Elsewhere, Charlie Martin, he's second in the group, 10 points. He did the damage early on in the night, didn't he?
Yeah, I think, if anything, he's the most comfortable player of the night, even though he didn't win all the games. He looked like he was just trundling along, being very comfortable, playing the game the way he wants to play it. And he was never really in any doubt as to whether he was going to make Saturday night. And he's lost the group by 6 points. It's a bit weird, but Charlie has had a very serene passage to Saturday. And yes, you're right. Early on tonight, when he was able to get off to a good start, that took the pressure off later on.
In terms of the performances, has it been a case of being good without being spectacular?
In the case of everybody, probably yes. If anybody has had the best performances in this group, it's been James Richardson, who has only just made it through. But if anybody can string 3-4 games together on Saturday night, I think anybody can win this thing. And it's going to take a little bit of deep analysis to figure out who that could be.
In terms of James Richardson, will he feel as if he's used up a life here?
More than one. 2 games have got him through this group, and they were the 2 that he won in Game 3 and Game 4 on night 1. They gave him the solid base to try and win 1 game tonight. He knew that he had to come and win 2, possibly 3, just to make sure that he was there. But everything went in his favour. Now he's got a free hit on Saturday night.
Max de Jong just misses out. How do you think he'll be feeling right now?
Of course he's going to be disappointed. It's not progression for Max this week. But if you micro-analyse some of the things he's done this week, he has made mistakes. Whether it's calculating errors or tactical errors, call them what you will. But the thing is, his game is good, but it's untidy. He just needs to tighten things up.
Right, let's talk about this week as a whole then, because it was built up as the big debut of Mervyn King. Jamie Atkins would go on to win that particular Group A. In terms of tomorrow night, where do you see Jamie? Is he a player now that needs to be or should be ready to win one of these weekly titles?
Yeah, I think that's fair. What he's got to be ready to do is he's got to look back at his final game in Group A and he's got to be ready to do that 4 times. If he comes in to the first game of Saturday night thinking it's like Monday morning, it isn't. He's been here on a Saturday night before. He's got to go great guns the whole night. That's what everybody's going to try to do. It's time to empty the tank of what you've got left. And it's going to have to start from about 7:45 p.m.
In fact, he's had a couple of days off, and it looks like he's usefully used those couple of days off. How important will that be in terms of recharging?
It's always important for someone who wins Group A to recharge properly, but you've got to stay sharp. It might require you to have 30 minutes on the board each day, as little as that. It's not about putting hours in, it's about ticking over. The people who haven't had those days off have had to go through the mill a little bit, so rest is going to be crucial, especially for the people who are in Group B.
Let's have a look at the tournament bracket then, and we can have a little bit of a look as well as to who made it through Group C earlier on this afternoon. Steve West and Tommy Lishman. Now, we both know that they are 2 people that will be looking at one thing come the end of tomorrow night, and that will be the trophy, which will actually be sat on this table between the pair of us tomorrow evening.
Yeah, I don't think there's anybody there who is thinking, I just want to be happy with a Saturday night. People have been there before. Everybody has been there before, apart from Mervyn King. So do you think Mervyn's thinking, I'm just happy to be there on a Saturday? Absolutely not. He doesn't turn up to be a participant. He turns up to be crowned. So everybody's going to want the same thing. There's going to be nobody thinking, I'm just going to enjoy this. They all want to be part of the Champions Week next month.
Let's have a look then at the groups for tomorrow night. We can see how the pattern of play is going to emerge. Jamie Atkins, Charlie Martin, Tommy Lishman in Group 1, but Group 2 strikes out there. King and West in the group and James Richardson there as well. There's a lot of experience there.
That's brutal. And maybe that has worked in their favour. When they see that group, they'll think there's nowhere to hide. When it comes to Jamie Atkins, Charlie Martin and Tommy Lishman, maybe there's a little bit of inexperience thrown into Group 1, but the amount of experience, if you put all of the World Championship experience together and the match plays, European tours, years in different circuits with Group number 2, you're talking about nearly a century worth of experience. It's kind of ridiculous when you think about it.
In terms of Group 1, will they all look at that and think, right, there's an opportunity here? Because, look, they all know they're quality players, but there's a little bit of inexperience in there.
I'm going to be brutally honest with you right now. I think Jamie Atkins and Tommy Lishman will fancy getting through. I don't think there's any pressure on Charlie Martin. I think if he brings people here and he makes this crowd boisterous, he could do what he did at the ADC Tour Finals. He could spring a surprise in making it through and winning that group, because there will be more pressure on Lishman to perform because of what he's done recently. And there's more pressure on Atkins after Group A and the fact that he's an England international and someone who's very fancied.
Is there a standout favourite?
Absolutely not. That's no disrespect to anybody who's participating on Saturday night, but I think there are arguments for everybody, including Charlie Martin, because I think we have had in the past, particularly a night where Adam Paxton won, a lot of people were fancied that night, maybe not Adam. Watch out for Charlie.
We'll find out tomorrow evening. Look forward to seeing them. Thank you very much for your company. As ever, Paul, thank you for your company. As ever, plenty coming up across Pluto TV. Once we're done, the latest edition of the Tungsten Talk will feature Noah Lynn van Leeuwen and plenty else happening before the live darts resumes tomorrow evening here on Pluto TV. Following that, we're heading on the farm with Scott Mitchell. He'll be delving into mixing darts in the farming world. That will be into the wee hours of the morning. Then tomorrow afternoon, the Tungsten Talk will then feature Leonard Gates, three-time seniors televised champion. He'll be talking about his career there. And then we will be live with you from 7:30 p.m. tomorrow evening to see who is going to be the 9th name through to Champions Week. Mervyn King is looking to get through at the first time of asking. And of course, it will be all roads to Champions Week, which gets underway on Monday, the 21st of April. But that's it from us here at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. Mervyn King is 8 from 8. He's perfect in Group B. We'll see you tomorrow night. From all of us here, take care. Good night. Bye for now.
What a finish. What a man. The drum roll finishes, and the target is
Dirty